Hello, hello, Twitch chat. How are we all doing on this wonderful sunny Sunday? Ready for some fantastic final games of this April Nova Cup. And with me on the co-caster's couch, I have none other than it's Offmer. Offmer, welcome to the stream, dude. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Glad to be here to watch another Nova Cup finals.
Excellent. Oh,
Hopefully some
you seem to have
bangers.
your camera aimed about 3 feet above your head, by the way. I don't know if there's anything you
Oh,
can do about that.
let me aim a bit lower.
Much better, much better. Perfect,
Okay.
perfect, perfect. Okay, so Offmer, we've got a pretty cool matchup. The first one, we have last month's tournament winners. They were the underdogs. They're now the updogs, by the way, which is pretty cool. And they're facing up against Team Nice Luck, which is Adams and Jenham, who we saw beat the Bulgarian Squatters 2-1 yesterday to earn their place in this semi-final. So what do you think about that matchup? Do you have a favourite?
I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, I'd go with the teen Drakir and Lucy. That's been together for longer and played a bit more.
Yep.
But I definitely think Adamas and Genome, you can't count them out because they're both real skilled players in their own right.
For sure.
And Genome's like maybe weakness that we saw when he and Rostov made it to the Nova Cup finals was that he just lacked a little experience. And I think that not only has Genome become a better player since then, teaming up with Adama, someone who offers a lot of experience, that
Yeah.
should help them out in making these important decisions in important moments.
Yeah, 100%. Adams is one of the old dogs of the Legion TD tournament scene. Like, he's been around the block, so to speak. He's the one who carried Widdowson in the first Legion in-house leagues and things like that when the competitive scene was in its infancy. So yeah, like, guaranteed. He knows his stuff. He's great at shot calling. And when you've got two highly skilled players like Adams and Jenham on the same team, you definitely can't count them out. That said, the Updogs now, having finally broken their 12-month Nova Cup curse and eventually won one. These guys are looking pretty scary, you know, so I wouldn't count those guys out either. I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup, whichever way it goes. I'd hate to have to call it though. Like, I don't know, man. It could go either way.
Yeah, and best of three, there's room for mistakes, but just not too many mistakes. Not like
Yeah,
the finals where you actually do have a bit more room to figure some stuff out.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And you can also, because it's still best of three, it does kind of favor, you can play the masterminds that you're more comfortable with, like the conquest
Mhm.
format doesn't force you out of the maybe two or three comfort picks, whereas the best of five grand finals really needs you to expand your repertoire, so to speak. So a
Yeah.
bit of an interesting like dichotomy there with the two different formats, but I mean, man, it's going to be cool. And then the other half of the bracket, the one that we won't be seeing on the mainstream today, though I think Kid K is covering that one. So if you guys want to see the other semi-final as well, head over to Kid K's channel, and that is going to be XGod and Ashton Butcher returning to Nova Cup after a few months, in the wilderness. So pretty cool to see those guys back, and they are facing up against King Dans and Widdowson, who normally one of the tournament favourites, but we did see them struggle yesterday. They lost 2-1 against the Bulgarian Squatters. So, like, the unstoppable, the invincible team of Brasiet are looking anything but this month.
Yeah, and I think Exxon and Ashton, they had a little, like a few hiccups, but they looked pretty good. I watched, I think all their games yesterday,
Yep.
and it definitely feels a little like you get a little bit of the feeling like, oh boy, it's these guys again. So I'd be very curious to see how they stack up,
Yep.
because that would normally be a finals match, but honestly, the quality of teams have gotten very, very strong, and
Yeah.
I'm sure as your brother and Aiku proved yesterday, the depth is definitely there in Division One for
Yeah.
teams to have a lot of potential upsets, and they might not make these matchups as obvious anymore for sure.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Like, it's really interesting how the new format of Division 1 being 8 teams instead of 16 has just completely, like, raised the playing field. It feels like there are no more easy matches on day one, right? Like, I think King Dans and Widdowson will attest to that, having lost to possibly the lowest rated team in the bracket in Team Bulgarian Squatters yesterday. It just goes to show that when there's only 8 teams in the bracket, anybody can beat anybody, and it's really cool to see like just how tight these teams are in the field.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for King and Witter definitely. because they're not grinding the game so much, they often use the first series or even the whole first day to get back into the groove of it. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them play a bit better. But last month they did get surprised a little earlier in the semis. Adamas and Chuvas took them out
Yeah,
2-0. So perhaps they'll have to get back on their feet a little bit faster this time around.
yeah. Let's see if Adamas can do it again today. Yeah, but he's playing up
Yeah,
against Lucien Drakir this time around, though. So different opponents.
yeah. I
Still
mean,
very high skill level. It'll be really cool to see which way that can go. But he has been a bit of a kingmaker, it seems. He did knock out Abracet last month, as you say. Then only to lose to the underdogs, though, in the final.
yeah.
So pretty cool. It's a bit of a revenge match, actually, that we've got lined up. Although it is, of course, Jenham stepping in for Chuvas this time around.
Yeah, and I think that brings a different dynamic to the team.
Yep,
Truvis definitely a little more known for his aggressive pushes, Fiesta gameplay, a little more volatile,
a
but
bit more high income style as well, whereas Jenham's very much a try hard Starve Lord, for example.
yeah, for sure. And I think Jenem also has a lot of games played against Drakir and Lucy individually, so I think he could have a very good read against the up dogs.
Yeah,
And he is definitely a player who does not have a lot of like super in-depth game knowledge, like perfect positioning. He's more of just macro understanding and trying to win the game through sending on specific waves and building for specific waves. Like he's not really too big on the micro details. He's a very strong macro oriented player.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think maybe that's where they're going to complement each other because Adams definitely does have that micro level knowledge as well. So between the two of them, they're going to be a formidable team, and we'll have to see if they can knock out the up dogs this time around in
Yeah.
the semi-finals.
And I think another thing to point out is that they do have pretty good mastermind flexibility between
Mm,
them. I mean, Adama's favoring like Cartel, Castle, Chaos, whereas Jenom will probably see more of the standard like cash out Cartel. But I have noticed that he plays YOLO quite a bit now on ladder, which does give him another option. It's pretty high income to start with, and it doesn't fall off like Cartel.
yeah,
So you can definitely leverage either a more aggressive, like income heavy style with YOLO because you start with 7, or you can just play a little slower and not get punished for enabling your mates later. Um, so you can definitely uh, there's a lot of room to play with those two players' mastermind choices, and Drakir and Lucy are no slouches there too. I mean, we've seen them pull out everything basically
yeah, yeah,
between
yeah.
the two of them.
I'd love to see a Lucy Fiesta in at least one of these games in the series, but we'll have to
Just
see.
one.
Just one. Because she'll win, of course, so it can only be one.
Yeah.
Right. Drakir's lobby is open, so we can hop into there. Oh, it looks like
Yeah, they're
everybody else is here. You were just waiting for the old clown.
yeah, well they're doing a little team swap here.
Ah, okay. I see. Little bit of
Yeah.
keys in a bowl. All right. Maybe if we can persuade the players to join the correct teams, we might be able to get game number 1 underway.
Also, I just saw Lucy's in-game level and it's 47, which is just a little alarming.
That's insane. I've been playing this game for I don't know 5 years maybe, and I'm level 36. So that's
Yeah.
kind of impressive. But losing level 47, that's a lot of grinding Legion TD2.
Yeah, because I
Impressive.
think
Slightly
me,
worrying.
Drakir,
Slightly worrying.
me, Drakir, and Lucy all started about the same time,
Yep.
and yeah.
And Drakir's level 36, same as me, but he started about 4 years later.
So he's
You're
a bit of
level
a grinder,
21.
but
Lucy's level 47. I don't think I've seen a level 47 before. Alright. The up dogs will be on the left, so I need to flip around my scoreboard. That's fine. Okay. Right, it looks like the players are ready. So we're just about to get the first game underway. Twitch chat, I hope you are ready. This is going to be a fun one. Maybe if Offmer can be persuaded to put some predictions up in the chat as well, though it is a little tricky to
oh,
manage with the delay.
I'll do my best.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of Twitch chat, here we go with game number 1 of your April Nova Cup semi-finals. We have the Updogs, that is Drakir and FC Lucy on the left, and they are up against Team Nice Luck, that is Adamus and Isolde on the right. Let's go!
Yeah, let's hop into it. Looks like Adamas and Genome already losing in the load screen.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough competition, the loading screen. Let's see, can Adamus make it to the finish line? He's loading, he's loading, he's loading, he's loading, he's in! Let's go!
Alright, we have Lone, Hero, and Battle Scars. Honestly, if you were to play something slow like Castle or Chaos, this would be a pretty good selection for it.
And there's the chaos that you said, yeah. So he's not phased for being out chaosed by Nictia yesterday. He's saying he's going to pull this one out against the Updogs. He's showing no fear. I love to see it. And he's rewarded with that Priestess. Very solid opener for chaos because you compare it with just about anything for a successful build.
Yeah, and Genome has pretty good late game. I mean, I see APS Shadow Dancer in his role.
And Butcher as well, and good tanks as well, and a Berserker to cover him on like 10 and 13 and 18. That's a roll right there.
Yeah, if I'm in Genome's head, I'm saying he's starting Slime Mommy. It's got pretty good tools to support it. He has a Devilfish and Harpy for 4. Yeah. And then he can transition into that build we're talking about with, the Zerker, the Mudman, the Dancer, the APS. Just a really strong late game.
I can see
it. Lucy didn't even go with the Angler, letting Drac take care of that part of it. Yeah. Although Drac's not even starting with the Angler. He's actually going to go with my favorite opener, the Archer. Which is also quite strong.
Starts with the Berserker, which is what I was thinking as well, actually, because the Berserker,
yeah, that's solid.
You just add like a Devilfish on wave 3, and you're really strong then for the first 6 waves.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Lucy also matching the Berserker opener, so no particularly aggressive openers. Everyone's going for a fairly stable 4-worker opener.
You see what Adamas has in his Chaos role?
Oh!
Like an absolute beast.
But now he needs to make a decision, actually, because, he's Chaos, so he can't guarantee he's going to get the mask again. But you really want to be pushing Workers, so is he going to drop a mask here? And he is. Yeah. Okay.
Just going to get the job done real quick. Yeah.
So he's overbuilding a little bit here, which looks a bit funny. But of course he's Chaos, and the power level of that Priestess mask is just so strong that it really makes sense to overbuild here to guarantee that you have it for later.
Yeah, you basically have 4 chances to get it in time. So it's not completely unreasonable, but it's a little unreasonable.
Yeah.
So everyone's pretty much playing 5-work openers besides Adamas. Can probably go 6. Well, actually Drakir is going to go 6 because it's a Zerker sending him, and he has Garg.
Yeah, reasonable.
So probably they don't get to the 40. That's usually the problem with Zerker by itself. It barely misses the 40, but I think they might get it this time. Yeah, and they do. So Drakir could possibly leak, but probably shouldn't as long as his aggro is good. And we see that
Go ahead.
Seraphim you're talking about. We see that False Maiden for Lucy. So both these Zerkers openers have a pretty good solution.
And with the double Gargoyle, Drakir's looking very safe here despite the 6 workers.
How does this do after the latest Priestess nerf?
I think with the addition of the Fist, it's kind of doing okay, but it should be a small leak. Maybe only the Lizard will have to see if she gets this 3rd heal off here. And the Priestess is healing. Okay. So it pretty much cleans up everything apart from the Lizard now. Maybe it's even a full hold. Drakir's leaking small. Adam's is leaking the Lizard as well. Lucy's holding. Genome's holding. This is fine. This is pretty standard.
Yeah, no, everyone's 7 workers. Maybe a little edge to Drakir and Adamas for being 6 workers earlier, but not a huge gap. Although there's actually a small difference between Genome and Lucy because she killed her. She got the gold for the 6th and the 7th worker slower than he did.
Okay. Very, very slight differences there, but these things add up.
Yeah, and Genome going for a resend, it's definitely something that can catch Archer off guard. If he really just like had to added like another Garg here, he'd be in trouble. But I mean, Drakir knows what's happening. He sees that Gen can be 7 workers.
Yep.
So makes sense to build here. He's already got a huge worker lead. Doesn't need to keep pushing it.
Yeah, and the gate card is just very solid on wave 5 as well, which is where his build was otherwise looking weak, and 6 of course, so it's a pretty solid addition here. He may even feel comfortable enough to push up to 8 or 9 workers after this resend.
Yep.
And he does, but so does Adams.
Yeah, both these players are pretty high, and Adams has been saving on Lucy, targeting that weak wave 5, and Lucy doesn't have the best options here.
He's just going for an income send though, there's no imps to be seen. And Lucy is going to add 2 Windhawks, I guess?
Yeah, she could also go for a steed, I guess, but I think 2 Windhawks is probably the most sensible option.
Yeah. And having that Windhawk in the split as well is going to enable the mask to deal damage. It's obviously not good damage on wave 5. Ah, never mind, she puts it on the right-hand side. But that mask should live, actually. It won't tank very much, if anything. Yeah, it doesn't tank at all. So this is a 120 send against Lucy. The Berserker is taking quite a lot of aggro, but both Windhawks split tanking as well. They should all survive for a long time, able to deal as much damage as possible, but now the Berserker is down. The Windhawks soon to follow. How can this mask? Can it kill anything? There's a couple of creeps, very low HP there. Does get one, get 2. Very nice. 47% there for Lucy.
Yep.
I think she's very happy with that result from 120 send on her weakest wave.
Yeah, she'll be okay with that, although she does have to worry about this 7 now, because double Windhawk definitely leaves you a little vulnerable there, but
and
she's going to be
She knows all about it. She knows she's weak on 7. She upgrades the Hellraiser, which makes her very strong there, actually. But here's some sends coming out again. Drakir with the 100 send into Adams. He does, of course, make the red mask, so he's going to be very fine. And Genom sending a dino of his own into Drakir. But yeah, Drakir has this Harbinger, so he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, Genom has a pretty clean build that lets letting him push quite a bit, because he really doesn't need... He probably just needs the Slime Mummy for next, and he's pretty okay. He needs to worry about 8, obviously. That's probably where he's weakest right now. But he has the potential to shift for the Dancer if he wants, which might be his solution.
Yeah, it's kind of rough for him to shift on 7, though, because Lucy did skip here. She's got 100 Mythium. She'll get 20 more post-income. Does she send, though? No, Lucy is starving. Okay, this will be interesting now, then. Does Genom read the starve and shift some Mythium? He does not. He's dropping a couple of Harpies, which, in fairness, the Harpies are fine, I guess, on wave 8.
Yeah.
But the Shadow Dancer would be better.
Yeah, for sure. And Drakir is just pushed full off that send from Genom.
Yeah.
He could still get punished on 8, but he should be fine as long as he has some inkling that Genom needs to send.
Yeah, I think Drakir has enough gold to get the Trinity Archer out. He's shifting 34 gold here. He's got good income. There's 120 gold from the wave. I think if he sends a DT or something, he's guaranteed getting that Trinity Archer.
Yeah, and that'll set him up perfectly for wave 8. So.
And there's the Lizard send. So Drakir knows he needs the gold. He goes for the income send. Pretty standard stuff, but it will give him the Trinity Archer and make him pretty much unleakable on wave 8.
Yep. So actually a Triad send for him down here, using the Mimic, which is pretty good against the Zerker, because the Zerker ends up doing mostly magic damage.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Mimic is pretty tough.
That's a Lord of Death, though. And again, it is magic damage into the Mimic, so the Mimic can tank this right side for a while, with only the Windhawks really doing good damage against the Mimic. But, I mean, Lucy just has value, right? She's on nearly 1,000 value. She's got okay, but not perfect units for the wave. And we'll have to see what happens, because this is a fairly big send now coming out from the Dams.
Yeah, and I think we should also note that Genom is 120 under here with not the best units, and it's only income, but it is a pretty big income send.
Yeah. And the income is not even that bad, honestly. Like, it takes a long time for the Sky Queen and the Berserker to kill the Dino, and the Lizard is just providing infinite damage against the Slime Mummy. I think that could be a pretty good leak on Genom, actually. The Sky Queen is tanking here, but some very nice split focus with those blobs. He's doing pretty well. Yeah. Let's check in on Lucy. How did she do against that Mimic? It looks like very well, actually. She's going to leak, but small. Genom does leak 35% over there, and Lucy 17% against the Mimic here. She's, again, very happy with that result.
Yeah, her choice to overbuild earlier on 6 ends up letting her, do perfectly fine here on 8. She had maybe like with a little better split tanking between her Hellraiser and her LOD at the end. She could have gone full hold, but I mean, she'll take that.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. For the send that she got, that result is pretty good. And Jenem did leak more to a full income send as well, so good trade there for the Updogs.
Ooh, and Lucy's going for a Brute Resend.
She doesn't get a second one, so it's only going to be 100 send. And Jenem doesn't add anything, so he's not expecting the try-hard resend, but here it comes.
And Adamas is building for 10, has a Tantrum, but added only a Halo here. Should be okay as long as Azeria tanks well.
Yeah, and the Azeria is living against the left-hand split, so the Azeria has done very well there. He looks.
Blob didn't quite get everything. Oh, but yeah, Jenem. Good read by Lucy here.
Wasn't expecting that Brute Resend 60% leak for Jenem. And Adams, how are you doing against your send? It looks like he's going to hold, but with only a very low HP Halo remaining, he's not going to be able to cover any of Jenem's leak in the mid.
Yeah, that's a little bit of king damage, but I think they'll be okay since they have quite a bit of Mithium themselves, and they could go for a 10 send, and it looks like Adamas wants to, and Jenem going for Mole Dino versus the Trinity.
Yeah.
Mole is definitely very efficient. I think he should have just gone for Ogre, but because the way the Trinity is shooting, the Ogre ends up being a really strong fortified tank versus it. But we got the solution to 10.
The
very hard to leak this unit.
Yeah. Lucy's easily holding here. There is another Mimic coming out from Adams, but I think that's very hopeful. The one thing I'll say is that there's only a Steed stood in front of that Fatalizer, so it should tank pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the thing with right side Fatalizer and the boss going right is it goes on the boss right away, so it means that it probably doesn't have a chance to hit the Mimic. Which is often sometimes, someone's hitting the Mimic.
Both tanking for the Fatalizer, though. That's a really good outcome, actually.
It's getting kind of melted by this Mimic and the boss, so it is going to be a small leak.
It's a small leak, but
and
again,
I think the same for Drakir. He'll finish off the Mole.
He is just 31% Drakir, 38% Lucy. Adam's leaking 20% against the income, but Jenem will fully cover. This might be the first meaningful king damage here in game number 1.
Yeah, and as we all know with Tenacity, getting that first little bit of king damage is very, very important. So
it's not even a little bit. They lost 35% king HP there. They're down to below 2/3.
Yeah, I think maybe a little over trusting this Fatalizer, and it ended up hurting them a little bit. But
yeah, it really comes down to the lack of tanks, right? Like the Fatalizer, as we've said, is amazing on wave 10, but if it doesn't get the time to ramp up its damage, it can just die, as we've seen. So
yeah, I mean, we have these 3 units that couldn't do much to help it, so
there's a lot of gold in non-supporting units for the Fatalizer there on wave 10, and they're paying for it. They've lost a lot of king HP.
I wonder what's going on. Okay, battle scars, really? Okay, interesting.
For Jenem.
Probably gonna go on the Theta, which is good value if he's guessing that it's a.
Oh, I know why though, because what he really wants is for that Dread Knight to start stacking battle scars.
Oh, okay.
Once you have it upgraded to Dread Knight, it nearly always takes the battle scars because the clones count towards the damage taken.
I see.
So it's like almost guaranteed to get the stacks, and it's just a beast when it has attack speed.
Yeah, I mean that checks out. He also still has his reroll. Maybe he can refine that APS he ditched earlier.
And Drakir, of course, with his cartel, that cartel penalty has kicked in here, but he's still keeping up with everyone in terms of income. In fact, he's ahead of his partner, Lucy, there by 10 income. So Lucy, it seems, had a pretty rough early game.
Yeah, definitely getting the bigger sends and saving longer than Drakir, which is unusual, I'd say, for their partnership. Usually it's the other way around, but they're both not too far behind their respective counterparts.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. Like, if you look at the roles, I think Drakir has a much better late game role than Lucy does. So if you want to do a kind of support carry play style, it's definitely Drakir's role that you want to be supporting, and you want him to be the late game powerhouse. Whereas Lucy, I mean, her role's fine, but it definitely peters off.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially now that she's rolled away that Lord of Death as well.
And people, there are some big Mythium counts, but there are also some very strong 13 builds and weaker 14 builds. So I imagine we're gonna see a skip.
Yeah, all 4 players holding their nerve, nobody feeling the pressure to send here. Drakir does pull out a full Sovereign on the APS hero aura there, by the way.
That's, I mean, it means that the Archer's not really gonna split tank, but I think it's worth it when you can get the APS and the hero on it.
Yeah, 100%. And they were probably hoping for a send here on wave 13 because Drakir did full shift there on wave 12 to get this Sovereign out on the hero aura, but there's no send coming.
Yeah, and they're even a little bit worried Lucy full building for this wave.
They're even doing some king ups as well, so Drakir and Lucy really were feeling the pressure here on wave 13, but no send is coming. And now, with those king ups, sure, it's only 80 Mythium, but it does give that slight edge to Adams and Jenem, who fully held their nerve here.
Yeah, I will say Drakir at least is the highest worker, so he shouldn't be too far behind in Mythium, given how long he was on 20 workers compared to everyone.
And now all 4 players are pulling the trigger. We've got some big sends coming out here on wave 14. Who do you think has the best build to be able to hold here? And why is it Drakir?
I mean, it definitely looks like Drakir, and he's getting double 4-eye, which is pretty good against the Sovereign, but not that good against the rest of his units. I wonder if Jenem can get to that mole, because that is the big counter to the archers. If there's no mold, he's going to easy hold, right?
I think Jenem's just going to be just shy. It looks like he'll top out about 100 Mythium, and yeah, he goes.
Yeah, and he can only get the Hermit. And I think that gives Drakir some chances, but if we have to say Adamas is on the highest value,
yeah,
his Azura isn't tanking perfectly, but he does get to just snipe one of the ogres, so that certainly helps.
Yeah, the Azura is definitely not tanking perfectly there. She seems to be very high health. She didn't like drop low enough to fully use her ability, and maybe Adams is going to leak as a result.
Yeah, I think there might just be a full hold angle here.
And Lucy's leaking 111%, Adams 77%, and Jenem leaking 51% as well. Meanwhile, Drakir was able to fully hold his own lane. He only has 1 archer in the mid, but it's going to hold a couple of Lucy's leaks there. And on the other side, 13 creeps reaching the king.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the double 4-eye was the best. I can't think of the best send. Like maybe just Needler and like Pack Mole or something.
Yeah,
but missing them
or something like this. Centaur Mole is looking pretty healthy against Drakir.
Some sort of Purist seemed better. It's not like the Sovereign has healing, so it's not like you need to kill it quick. I'm curious who got the Battle Scar stacks for Jenem. Not his DK, looks like, because you didn't have it yet on 14, so that's probably...
has 2 stacks, and the Head Chef has 2 stacks, so yeah. No stacks on the Dread Knight, but it is now built here on wave 15. He's changing his mind, he's not sure. I think he should upgrade it, because you really want to start getting those Battle Scar stacks.
He's thinking of hiding his value, and looks like nobody pushed too hard. The Drakir's playing 220 over, showing his value even. Maybe wanting them to go 17.
Yeah.
But it does feel like Lucy will be the weakest out of everyone on 17.
Yeah, for sure.
She has the Haven now, I guess, but it's not going to be too inspiring.
I think Jenem is trying to bait ascend on wave 16. We'll have to see if Drakir and Lucy fall for that, because he's going to be adding a lot of value here on 16. And no, they don't.
Yeah, I think the thing is
this Slime Siren just took a Battle Scar stack, by the way.
And he wanted to go with the flower bait, but it's not gonna work. It's not like flower is bad. Like it'll be a fine tank for the DK, but it's not gonna be quite the play he wanted.
No, really nice try there though by Jenem. That's it's very good to signal that you full push, try to bait this end out of the up dogs here on wave 16, where you're actually very strong. But they didn't fall for it. You know, these guys are experienced themselves. They know all the tricks. Oh,
look at these. That is some juicy value. Hero, Tree of Life, Kingpin, and Sovereign. Kind of bad since the Sovereign is now gonna tank on 17 before the Kingpin, but I mean, what can you do? He had to build for the current wave. was his
Both of these
estimation.
Dark Mages dying in Adam's lane as well, by the way. He might want to try and adjust his split to stop that happening on 17, because that Dark Mage buff is going to be really powerful for him.
Yeah, I mean, he has a bunch of units that can take advantage of it, so we'll see if he can fix his split a little bit. I mean, he does have this one chilling out in the middle of the
Yeah.
lane, so he that one might not be savable.
I think all he needs to do is sell this Polywog, though, and then his Dark
Oh,
Mages
yeah,
will
yeah.
stay alive. So
he has like a few range units, and then Chaos just keeps giving him different tier ones, so...
yeah, very skilled Chaos player,
Ooh.
by the way, rolling the banana bunk for wave 17 and the
Yeah,
APS.
and the APS, yeah. And we'll see where he puts the... Oh, he can't even get out of Haven, but...
Everybody's
it'll be
sends
okay.
are massive here. Drakir does have the highest value, and he's got a pretty good build for the wave, actually, with the APS, MPS, 4 Trinity Archers, all with Hero, and good tanks as well with the Royal Guard. Adams may even just full hold. Drakir, sorry, may even just full hold.
Yeah, I suspect that he has a very good shot. His Sovereign is even, like, perfect split tank. I mean,
That's
look at that
really
aggro.
juicy,
Great
actually,
positioning
on that
from
Sovereign.
Drakir.
It does die now, but, you know, it's done its job. And the archers are just
the wave is dead.
obliterating the wave. That's an easy full hold there from Drakir. Let's see how everybody else is doing.
mean,
Adams
Lucy
is
has
doing
no
extremely
chance.
well as well. He's holding. Lucy leaks
Adams
pretty
is
big, though.
holding.
129%. And Jenem, he leaks, but only very small. 73% there. This does look like a one trade on the side of nice luck, actually, with Lucy leaking way more than Jenem.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough since Lucy's build is just not equipped for this wave at all. Like, so much magic damage, so much Swift Arcane, but Drakir's actually covering in the mid really well. I mean, same with Adamas.
That's very
It's going to be
important.
Baby King damage for both teams, and now it comes down to whether or not you think you can win by pushing for 19, like Genome is, or whether or not you can win by overbuilding, which it looks like Lucy and Drakir want to do.
Yeah, I mean, Jenem is full pushing, so Drakir has to be able to hold the suicide
Oh.
push, it looks like. He is.
Drakir looks like he has
good.
the read back. Or,
Okay.
I mean, he's pushing more, which is the correct call, but obviously not committing to the Sui. I mean, part of this comes down to if Lucy can just hold. I
Yeah.
mean, we
Lucy's
talked about her
very
build
good
having
on
problems,
19.
but
Lucy's very
19
good on 19.
is,
She's prepping those
yeah, it's a very
masks.
different equation.
She's prepping those masks here, so 4 of them are going to be tantrumed on 19. She'll be able to place another Haven as well.
And Drakir did push even more. I'm not sure he's going to commit to Sui, but they will see Genome suing, I'm assuming. Just because they can read the values. But we'll see if that changes their approach to anything. And the Hades is a lot worse on 17 than it is on 19, where it can actually do damage against the Swift armor.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Drakir did not commit to the Sui. I mean, it's going to be a rough hold for Drakir. There's no doubt about that. He has really good units,
big
but
send from Jenem.
yeah, it's going to be like triple ram or close to that. Maybe like triple ram mole or like something where the archers just can't hit the wave. But
Yeah,
he's spamming
this
bucklers,
is
which are
Drakir's
extremely
best wave,
efficient.
though. Like, he has the perfect tanks here with the Royal Guard, and this is just so much damage with the Hero, APS, MPS. 5 Trinity Archers, fully upgraded, about as stacked as you can get. He's going to do well here, even though the triple Siege Ram is a pretty big send.
I mean, the fact that he's 30 workers, like 6 ahead of Lucy, and still highest value on their team, like, he honestly has almost as good of a shot, if you discount the fact he's getting a gigantic send.
Yeah. 1200 Mythium walked into Drakir's lane. Can he deal with it? The first Siege Ram is down, the Mole is down, the wave is melting under the intense damage of those Trinity Archers. Holy moly, wave 19 just being cut apart like butter with a hot knife. Jenem, of course, leaking 120% with his suicide
Lucy
there.
holding well.
Lucy holding, Drakir
So they actually
holding
just
the
both
suicide
holds.
play. Adams holds as well, but I don't think he's ready for round 2.
Yeah, round 2 is looking challenging. He also picked up a few Trinity Archers of his own, but I mean, that looks like should be game. I mean, Shaman in like half the wave. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
definitely game. That's a Whoopaguga right there with the Updogs
Wow.
taking game number 1 in style.
I mean, Drakir using Lucy's famous strategy of holding the Sui. Like, a really nice game from him. I mean, they had some... It just ended up being the waves that they had to send on. Like, forcing 17 and 19, where Drakir is just a complete beast. And same with 14. Like, he just had a perfect build for all of those waves.
Yeah, really nice controlling the pace of the game there. forcing the Sens to come on all of Drakir's strongest waves. He easy holds 14, he easy holds 17, he easy holds the full suicide on 19, and that's just his game. You know, what can you do about it? Adams and Jenom, they played really well here, but it seems the Updogs were one step ahead of them the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, normally we talk about Cartel having some downsides, that post 10 struggles, but
Yeah.
Drakir was able to generate enough of a lead through his early game where he played really well, but with the power of his units, like taking advantage of that Harbinger, Green Devil, Archer like spike to just push really, really hard every time. Once he got to his sends, he just opens up his strong waves, and then he was able to scale really hard. I mean, he's income sending Adamas a lot, but somehow still keeping ahead of him.
Yeah, really, really nicely played there from Drakir and Lucy. I mean, they're just showing us why they were able to win the cup last month, and it looks like if they keep up this level of play, man, they've got a really good shot to take it again in April. But we'll have to see, because Adams and Jenom are not going to let them get there easily.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect them to. I mean, it wasn't like it was the game wasn't close. I think Jenom got a little bit behind off that 8 leak into 9 resend. That ruined his game a little bit, so that was a great opening by Lucy that she found. And he just never quite got to scale up to his build. We talked about taking the battle scars for the Dread Knight, but it never managed to get onto the Dread Knight.
Yeah.
So he had a little bit of. I think it was honestly a strange moment where all 4 players were planning to skip 13 and go 14, but expecting the other people to send 13.
Yeah.
So Drakir was the only one who managed to build for both waves with the Avenger, and the rest of them, like Jenom, didn't even get his DK on 14, I think. So
No, I know. And there were some really nice plays there, like with Jenom fully shifting his gold on wave 15. I think he had something like 2.7k value there on 15. Maybe even hoping that he would have like pro leaked or something to try and force the send on 16, where he would have had 3 death caps. But it didn't work. Lucy and Drakir, they didn't take the bait and ended up with the Updogs winning the game by not taking that bait, right? Like, I think if they take that bait and send on 16, where Jenom has 3 death caps, maybe this game has a different ending. But yeah, very nicely played by both teams.
Would have opened them up for 18, where Drakir is definitely weak with all his Trinity Archers.
Absolutely.
But let's see, no more Cartel, no more Greed for Drakir and Lucy. Let's see what they adapt with. So cash out.
No messing about here. We're straight into game number 2. There is a 1-0 advantage on the side of the Updogs. Drakir going cash out. Okay.
Jenom has a roll.
Chaos. Oh, Jenom does
An
have
absolute
a roll.
roll.
Yeah, he's got Flower Angler, one of the best, most aggressive openers in the game, with the Berserker to cover those really weak waves on, say, 6, 10, stuff like that. So he's looking pretty spicy.
Yeah. I mean, even the looter, if he wants it. I mean, the slime can be strong with that opener. The Tree of Life we know is completely insane with the Kingpin. And it looks like he's going to prefer to go Tree of Life with the Angler and also get some pack rats involved.
Okay, I mean, Jenom is known for his rat play. He's known as the Rat King in certain circles. So we'll have to see if he's able to pull this one off here.
I mean, we got these 2 combo of units early game is just really exceptional. Like, as soon as you get the combo online, it's like you can't leak the mid game at all. Like, you can literally watch your Kingpin 1v1 an Ogre with the just never taking damage from it. With the Tree of Life. Yeah, it's honestly like incredibly strong, and I think Drakir and Lucy are aware of it. So we'll see how they play around the Kingpin power spike, because that is going to decide a lot of this game, I think.
Alright, we have king upgrades coming out from all 4 players, so nothing particularly spicy here at the start of game number 2. Lucy with the Priestess, she doesn't have the Mask, but she does have the Ranger, which is a very close second in terms of power levels. She also has that Berserker for wave 10 as well, by the way, so Lucy's role is looking pretty good. But yeah, Jenom's is very strong.
Yeah, I think the only thing I don't see is anyone with a strong Magician role yet. Obviously, with the reroll or with Chaos, we might see one develop, but that's something to look for, because otherwise you just have Lone and PTA basically countering each other out. Can't really go aggressive on 11 with PTA, just because Lone is there. But you could try and, beta Lone. And actually, Genom gets a snail here.
That's post-income, right, from Lucy? It is. So we'll have to
Yeah,
see if it pays off, and it looks like it will.
I
The
mean-
angler's dying very quickly. Genom definitely not expecting this post-income snail here, but a nice read from Lucy. That's going to be a
Yeah,
big
kills
lead.
the angler, and yeah, the leak hurts because he has rats.
Yeah, okay.
Even
I mean,
if it's
I
just
say a big
this.
leak, it's 33%, but yeah, exactly. He has the rats, so long waves are bad for him when Drakir and Lucy both have more workers, and also it's permanent damage done to that angler because it died really quickly. It's missing out on those all-important stacks.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get enough here, because that would be the important break point for it. Like if you can get all the wave 3 stacks, then you're usually in a good spot for 4. But it looks like he has some weird goal. I would think that he needs to sell here, but oh, he's just keeping his rat up. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay, he's playing it safe. But yeah,
So
he
he's gonna
definitely
catch
needs to
this-
make sure he gets those stacks on the angler this wave. And the
Actually,
thing
this
is
angler looks-
suicidal. Like, it's run in front of the tree, but it looks like he's going to be okay. Or is he?
Oh,
Angler!
or is he? Yeah.
You really want those wave 3 stacks,
Oh,
but that thing
no.
is getting speed run down.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like this positioning, the tree its a range is just a bit too long, and the
Yeah.
angler's a bit too happy to get into the fight, so
Yeah, and he's
usually
leaking
gonna go for a
again,
little
by
leak.
the way. This time to just 2 snails. 28%. I mean, the leaks are small, but it's long waves, while Drakir and Lucy have a worker advantage, though Adams has now caught up and taken the lead. But it's just those stacks, like, you were talking about how strong the Tree of Life and the Kingpin is. Well, sure, but the Kingpin gets a lot of its extra HP from that mana. So if it's losing out on these stacks in the early game, it's just going to be that much smaller when it is eventually turned into a Kingpin.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely hurts the power spike. Usually we talk about 3 and 7 as like the best stacking waves, and we've missed out on one of them, so we'll see if the bounty can maybe recover by then, but definitely not the perfect start you envision.
Yeah.
And looks like Drakir is getting the big send here, 100 from Genom, all in snails. I think he's just going to be completely fine. Great split aggro between his 2 units, and
Does that slime
it's gonna
mummy
let him
reach full
push.
mana? It does, yeah. I think with that full mana, it's just a guaranteed hold. But to be fair,
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it wasn't even close. 1 slime would have had the same effect here as 3.
And look at this, 8 workers on Drakir and Lucy now.
Yeah, well,
I
Genom
mean,
is still on
Adamas will-
5. He's not even
Yeah.
pushing here. Like, he had the bounty hunter, he had 400 value. I assume that means he wants to hunt his rat, and yeah, there it goes.
Probably needs to either upgrade this or get another tree. I mean,
There's the
okay,
tree.
he needs to fix his split so he doesn't send the boss on a journey.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, this early game is definitely looking Drakir and Lucy favored. Adamas has a really nice power spike coming up. Split is... It's probably not going to make a difference, but Drakir is full sending him, so who knows.
Oh, yeah, the boss is going right there into that looter. Let's see if this mistake ends up hurting him. He does have a Violet, so probably feeling pretty confident. But yeah, the boss is just chewing through all of those cheap units in the split. Let's see. The Trinity Archer
Wait,
is
the
taking
Archer's
the
getting
damage,
sniped?
actually.
What?
Trinity Archer getting shot over from behind the Violet, but it looks like with that value and with that Violet, it just doesn't matter how bad his aggro is.
I thought the idea was really nice, the range split to drag it back into the Violet, but the boss had other plans.
Yeah,
So
the
now
boss was
he's
like,
on-
I can see that Trinity Archer. You're not escaping me.
Well, he's now on 9 workers, so we're talking about power spikes. Every tier 3 upgrade generally gives you a huge spike, so
Yeah.
it's a really nice spot. And let's see how Genom does, getting Lucy's big income send. We know how strong the Ashen is, and he has one very weak tree, one slightly weaker tree, so it's all gonna come down to the slime army, basically.
Yeah. And Lucy does add the snail as well, so she's trying to get a lead here. And Genomy's not looking great, though. He definitely has the power of value on his side. The Cannoneer did not waste its second shot. I hate to see that when the Cannoneer, like, fires its 100 damage shot against a dead looter or something, but no, not baited
Yeah.
into that here. Slime Mummy does reach full mana, so he's getting full value out of that unit, and it looks
Yeah.
like with the power of value alone, Genom is able to hold this 120 Mythium Send on his weakest wave, but meanwhile, Waldo over here, Adams, leaking 50% against 2 Dragon Turtles.
Yeah, just not ready for that resend. A little overestimation because his archer is dead
Yeah.
with this positioning. If
I
he
wasn't
didn't
even
roll a
watching
melee
Adam's
unit,
lane. Like, I thought he was going to be completely fine, but yeah, his value much lower there than Jenom's, and the Archer, when it gets run down by the Roccos, is just dead value.
yeah, you really need to be careful with Archer. Even with the strong tier 3 like Violet that you would expect to solo the wave, usually that's because it has melee units with it. Oh wow, a cheeky
Uh,
mole here.
That's interesting, that Mole from Genom. He did have Mimic in income, and I feel like, yeah, like, sure, he didn't know about the Mudman. The Mudman is the
Yeah.
perfect answer against a Mimic send, which Drakir is surely expecting. I'm just a bit confused as to why Genom didn't send it, because Mimic is so good against Slime Siren. Obviously, not only
Yeah,
is it perfectly damaging the Arcane Slime Siren, but it gets you so much gold against all those slime spawns.
yeah, and I think like maybe overestimating how strong the Aqua is and like how much he needs to focus on that because I think Aqua is strong. Maybe he just expected Drakir to go purple Aqua here and then the mole has quite a bit of value. But the way it looks is look, he's sniping the Brood, he's getting the Aqua spawns, and I think even the Fire Aqua will tank after the Mommy dies, and it has so much HP it might just be fine.
I think he might leak the Mole, but like nothing
Right,
else.
yeah.
And Lucy's leaking 74% there. It's only really the Mimic and a couple of stragglers. 12 gold on that Mimic. You know, it's nothing special to write home about, but Adams is pretty happy with 12 extra gold as well. And yeah, this Mole is just absolutely invincible against the Slimes.
Yeah, I mean, I just thinking if this was a Mythic, it would have been eating so good like you mentioned.
This is the first meaningful king damage, though, going to the side of Nice Luck. Drakir and Lucy dropping now below 80%, it seems, stabilizing around 70... 72? Okay,
Yeah, and it looks
fine.
like they're content to just keep playing income, knowing perhaps that this is coming, and there's not really too much you can do with the save against it.
Yeah.
And Adams is taking advantage of the income for sure, because he's 13 workers, and he already unlocked one of the most powerful combinations, the Flying Archer.
Oh, Flying
So
Archer, spicy.
that's something you have to be worried about in the late game for sure, because we
Yeah.
saw APS Archer, like Flying Archer is up there with being just as strong as that combination.
It's so much damage. So much damage. Even on like waves where it shouldn't be, like fortified natural waves, the Flying Archer just seems to deal out insane amounts of DPS. But yeah, we get the income resends here. Genom, who does upgrade the Kingpin, is going to do fine. I mean, that's a pretty easy hold for him. And Adamus there with his Flying Archer, it does look like he's going to leak, actually, especially with that Archer just magnetically drawn to the Dino, it seems.
Yeah, he got caught a little bit. He has just no arcane, is part of his issue. Like, he has the Yuzora, but his arcane is one blob.
Yeah.
And a lot of his value is a bunch of tier 1s.
And this is going to be king damage, actually. The Kingpin not able to fully cover. And again, it all comes down to Genom losing those stacks earlier on, right? Because if the Kingpin had a little bit more damage, a little bit more HP, because it didn't die on wave 2 and 3, he can probably just full cover.
Yeah, and we're going to see a little counterpunch here. So the same sort of pattern happening with, like, small income leaks into big sends from Adamas and Genom.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
Ogre
watching
here.
these two teams play is a bit like watching two guys in a bar just taking swings at each other, like one after the other. One of them throws a punch, the other one kind of staggers back and then throws the counter punch. And here comes that counter blow from Adams and Genom. We've got Mimic Mole.
Mimic Mole.
That's
That
a
is a
big
big
send.
juicy send. I mean, like,
The Mimic is just
it's
smacking
literally
on these
0
veterans.
fortified natural units. So
Azaria does get her heal off and does kill the mole pretty quickly as well. But now she's dead.
Not long for this world, yeah.
And meanwhile, Drakir, it looks like he's going to leak as well, or is he actually? Those slimes
get
just
onto
coming
this
in
ogre.
clutch, giving him so much more stall. It looks like the ogre's getting through, but even that's on half HP.
Yeah, I mean, we will see some more king damage, but all
Another
in all, it's
15
not
gold on that
bad.
Mimic for Adams. He's pretty happy with how this game is going so far.
Yeah, I think the thing to note is usually when you hold a send like that, it's because it was a longer save, so you'd be okay with the small hold, but this is really just a one-wave skip.
Yeah.
So it's actually a perfectly fine situation. It's not like Adams and Genom were starved of the game to make that play happen.
This whole
they're-
game seems very fast-paced, right? Like, we're seeing really high worker counts in the early game. We're seeing big sends after single wave skips. You know, there's none of this kind of 5-wave saves into Ogre on 7, everyone having to play slow and steady. It seems really fast and aggressive.
Yeah, a lot of income in this game. Like, you can see everyone reaching 200, probably going to be closer to 250 by 11. And the thing about that is, like, with high incomes, the cartel debuff doesn't hurt quite as much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's already far enough ahead, Lucy is, of Genom, to where cartel is worth it. She's 50 ahead of him, and only really... Okay, I say 50, obviously she sent some king ups, so it's not quite even, but I think she is, like, gotten enough out of her cartel to not be behind after the debuff hits.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look at that income, actually, she's 4 income behind Adams and 20 ahead of Genom. Now, of course, they did send only 3 regens there. They're planning to take this game late, it seems. They wanted maximum regen so they can start generating that precious resource, which is the King's HP. They want that to kind of come back over time so that they can maybe afford to leak a bit in the later game.
Do they have a plan? I think they want to go 12 and maybe protect their 13 a little bit because, I mean, Kira looks pretty good on 12, I won't lie, but like a big send could definitely get him, and we already know that Lucy she's starting to build some natural armor now, but definitely over-invested, if you will, into Arcane and Swift.
Yeah, for sure. Lucy can definitely leak on 12. Definitely leak on 12.
I like tax for both of them. It's definitely not as committal as Lone would be to their income in case the save comes longer. And it gives them a little boost
A little
to hold
staying
this
power on
PTA.
that crucial wave 12. We'll have to see if they decide to match the send here on 12. Although with Drakir's build, it's not obvious that it's coming here. Like, he's really strong on wave 12. Really strong.
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, if he thinks he can hold, I would be hold and cover, then I feel like he should be happy to skip, but...
It's risky, though, with only 50% King HP remaining. Oh,
And
Adams
we're
and
just-
Genom. Like, we're talking about all these mind games. They don't even send here.
It looks like no one thought that it could actually be 12, but I mean, look at Lucy's value. I feel like this is a pretty big leak to
Yeah.
500 something send, and same with Drakir. Even like you would catch him pre-building, right? And he doesn't even so like something like an ogre or ogre mole pack or something. Like I feel like this should be a pretty big leak.
The sends
but
would
they
have been
don't-
massive. Like they have 550 Mythium each pretty much on Adams and Genom. This
I'm not
could
sure
be
I
very dangerous
understand forcing 13 when your build is Archer Levi. I feel like they had a great plan to try and undercut the 13 where it looks like they're weakest because Genom's not even gonna have like the regen and stuff. He's just gonna have a solve.
Yeah. I mean,
but it is gonna be a
he actually
13
shifted
race.
300 gold here. I don't think he's going to have a solve. I think he's going to
Ooh,
have a
okay.
Phoenix.
Oh, doing a little mind games here for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, oh, and Lucy is just gonna send the ogre. She was a little more patient. She could have got double 4R, which
Yeah. This
think
Kingpin's
she would've
taking a
wanted.
really long time to kill the wave. Like, it's
Yeah,
living
it would've
forever with
been-
that Tree of Life regen, but it's taking its sweet time. Lucy would have had the double 4 eyes.
Yeah, I mean this spot is rough because they have to hold really good, and this is their value just isn't there. Like their king is so low. Like
Yeah,
it
they
has to
can't
be
afford a leak here, really.
yeah, almost full holds would be what you want.
And I mean, Drakir's looking really strong here. He's only minus 300. He has the Leviathan buffed arc. He has the full Sovereign, of course, as well. There's a double 4 eyes coming out from Genom, but that's only really good against this one unit. It's bad against pretty much everything else on Drakir's board.
Yeah, he has odds for sure. And he's he is the highest value in the game. So
Yeah, he is. But he's also receiving a much bigger send. 720 for Drakir, 740 for Lucy. 200 Mythium more, pretty much, than what Adams and Genom have to put up with.
and this
and that
Phoenix
Phoenix.
is
That Phoenix from
smurfing.
Genom. It is doing Phoenix things.
yeah, really nice stuff. The 4 I just eyes closed,
It's
can't
just
see it.
Full holding, right? Or maybe a small leak. Adams leaks 94%, and Drakir does leak 67. It's only the 4 eyes, but is this lethal? They've got a lot of king upgrades, but it's all regen. They don't really have attack and spell upgrades. Genom
Yeah,
leaks
it'll
very
be
small
close, I
there.
think.
This is going to be close, Offmer. I think this. I mean, it looks like they survive, but only barely.
Yeah, And the plus side here is now that both teams are in lethal range, because
Yeah.
before, Jenem, and I think that's maybe why they were confident to skip. They wanted to go just try and knockout punch them and take whatever lead came, because they were full high king. But now, I mean, Drakir and Lucy have some agency in this game because they can actually kill the enemies. And Lucy looks like she's pushing very hard for
Okay.
15, and Drakir is overbuilding, so it maybe a Sui play is coming, and this is not the right time for egg, I think.
Oh, Adams, that is not the right time to egg. Oh dear,
Um,
oh dear. This could be
okay.
very dangerous on 15 now.
Yeah, and I mean, egging here means they want to skip, or I would assume that's what they want to do. He's hunting a million rats while and he's gonna be overvalued still, so maybe they can hold. It might have to be a full commit from Lucy and Drakir if they really want to get them here.
Phoenix can be absolutely insane on wave 15 if it doesn't take full aggro. Like, if this thing is just split tanking the split shots from the wave and the octopus boss, it lives forever, it deals infinite damage, and just smurfs the wave. But if it does take full focus, especially from something like a Four Eyes, this can be very dangerous. And yeah, Adams and
It is a
Jenem,
full Sui.
they don't send here. And Lucy, as you say, is spending all
Drakir
her
is also
gold into
pushing to
weapons.
no send. It's a full commit because they saw the egg. Like Drakir is hardening and built the Mudman, but like other than that, he pushed like 6 workers to no send.
Yeah.
So and Lucy is committed to this Sui. Jenem is on value, so
Jenem's actually over value. Like, when he finished his building, assuming he adds a couple of rats.
yeah.
Oh, he's hunting.
Little girl?
Jenem! Yeah, Jenem! Hello!
Okay,
Uh-oh.
Shaman. Okay, so he sent. Oh, and the
And the
Cannoneer
Four Eyes is
pushes.
straight on the Phoenix of Jenem as well. This is what I was talking about. It dies very quickly, so instead of smurfing, that Phoenix is just dead meat. This is going to be a big
And
leak from Jenem. It looks like a big leak from Adams as well. It looks like the Updogs
they're
have
dead.
just snatched this one from the jaws of defeat.
Oh man, I mean, this is the power of workers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't always overbuild. Because
Man.
if people push for stuff, like you really gotta overbuild. Like this egg ended up hurting them big time.
Yeah, but they were so confident there with Jenem even double hunting. I mean, to be fair, 2 rats are making no difference against that size of
yeah.
send. But yeah, really nicely played there for the Updogs, going for a big, aggressive undercut with a full suicide from Lucy into Jenem. 660 Mythium sent. Jenem did not stand a chance, and Adams as well. With that egg play, it really cost them here on wave 15.
Yeah, and I mean, if that wasn't an egg, he can maybe hold better considering he's on value, but it's tough. Tough calls for sure.
I mean, those regens, by the way, that they like maximized regen on wave 10, it probably won the game for them, honestly. They were at 38% health on wave 9, they were at 56%, maybe 60 for wave 13, and they survived that leak with 9% remaining. So without that regen, they were dead meat.
Honestly, a regen diff.
Regen diff,
Which is
indeed.
unusual to hear, but the truth in this case, it seems.
I've got to see the graph for this one. It looks closer than I expected. It felt like the Team Nice Luck were further ahead during the early to mid game. But yeah, actually the Updogs, they were slightly behind, it seems, according to Jules. But a really nice, aggressive undercut there with the Wave 15 full suicide play. It's just beautiful to watch.
I think the early game, just Jenem got a little messed up just on the first few waves, but I mean, he brought it back so that he wasn't like out of the game or anything and had a lot of pressure to leak Drakir a couple times. But the king damage, it looks like, was just made up for the fact that Jenem just fell a little bit behind in that early. And even though Adams was ahead or even like about the same as Drakir and Lucy, that the little bit was able to give Drakir and Lucy enough to still have some chances in the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, man, what an exciting series, but that one was over quicker than I expected. I thought for sure we were going to see game number 3.
It felt that way with that King HP, for sure.
Yeah. I do see Ashton and Kingdans on wave 13, so maybe we could hop into the second semi-final as well, give the guys a bit more content. What do you think, Offma?
Yeah, we can take a peek for sure. I
All
think
right.
this is only game 2 even. I took a look and it looks like King and Witter won the first game.
Okay, so it looks like we have a 1-0 advantage on the side of Abraceat, and we're joining this game partway through, remember, so we should get there in time for wave 13-14, but we'll have to see who is coming out tops on this second semi-final. We've already crowned our first finalist there, which is the Updogs.
Alright, let's see what's happening in this game. I
All right.
see one team having 1 trillion Mythium and another team not having much at all.
Yeah, this looks like we might have another 2-0 on our hands, actually. Let me just play with the scoreboard very quickly.
I mean, it looks like King and Witter are... I feel like, is this a glitch? I'm looking at the worker counts.
Yeah. What happened here for XGod and Ashton? Holy moly, XGod on 10 workers, Ashton on 14, Widdowson and Kingdowns both having double the workers of their respective opponents, and here comes a mammoth send on wave 15. Alright, XGod and Ashton maximising their king upgrades, but I really think they're having some serious copium here if they think they're going to survive
1k under.
What happened in this game? What have we
I
missed?
feel like I just stumbled into a different dimension.
Ashton spamming those peewees. I don't think they're going to save him here.
And he's getting a Witch and a Needler versus peewee spam.
Oh, man. That Needler's going to cook.
Yeah, it's eating good tonight, for sure.
We're going to have to watch this Needler. I've never seen a 3-stack Needler before. Let's see. 1. Oh, can we get a 2-stack? No, we can't. The peewees are already dead.
Yeah, the multi-shot took care of them.
Yeah.
And the Phoenix and XGod's lane is dead, and
yeah, this
they're
looks like
dead.
all she wrote. Hexcrash, it seems, defeated in quick victory 2-0 to the side of Abraceat. So the Updogs and Abraceat will be our finalists this month. And it seems like a bit of a grudge match because these guys have faced each other a number of times off. I'm not going to go through the waves here. We missed all of the action, it seems, but joined just in time to see Team Abraceat making their way to the grand finals as well. So that is going to be a very, very exciting matchup. Updogs versus Abraceat. I think we're going to give the players 10, maybe 15 minutes break before the grand finals. We can probably call it 14 minutes at this stage since we're at 51. So I guess I'll get in touch with the players, let them know to be back here at 5 minutes past, and make sure you guys are here as well, Twitch chat, because that's going to be a hell of a grand finals, actually.
Yeah.
FC Lucy and Drakir versus Kingdowns and Widdowson, 4 of the best Legion TD2 players around. Man, that's going to be an exciting match.
Return of the Kings, right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get in touch with the players. I will leave you guys with the schedule screen and some funky campaign music. Offma, I will see you back here in around 10 minutes so we can have some chat before the finals kick off.
Sounds good.
Hello, Offma. How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm good.
Very good. Are you ready for some grand finals action, Offma?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Awesome. Do you have any favourites? Updogs, Abracete? Can you call it either way? If you're a betting man, which team would you go for?
I mean, I always gotta go with my homies, Drakir and Lucy. I'm
Yeah.
always rooting for them.
I mean,
I'll give them my prediction for this one.
if they want to repeat the pattern though, they have to like lose the next 9 or 10 Nova Cups and then win again like next
Oh,
February or something. Like
I
it's the
see, I
only way,
see.
right? So if they're
Yeah.
creatures of habit, then it's going for Abracete. But maybe they've just broken the curse that we talked about earlier and they're ready to win back-to-back Nova Cups. Either way, it's going to be a hell of a show.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Do we have a lobby open? The players have got another couple of minutes left on their break here, but I wanted to just talk about the teams a little bit before we go live. We do have 2 lobbies open actually, Drakir and Kingdans. They can't quite decide. Still battling, even when it comes to lobby creation, it seems. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really exciting matchup. All 4 of these players are definitely at the top of their game. This is probably the 2 tournament favourites meeting here in the grand finals, which is pretty cool to see. And I think it's just going to be a really hard fought game. I would absolutely love to see all 5 games played. And I think with how closely matched these teams are right now, that could definitely be the case. But again, everything in Legion can come down to like a split-second decision, like a bad read or a good read. Can really just flip a game on its head, as we've seen happen so many times before on this cast. But man, either way, I want 5
Yeah,
games. I hope we
I
get
want
5
fires too.
games, but I don't know. Let's see, man.
I think they're ready for us whenever we're ready. They don't even need the extra break.
Oh, they're just chomping at the bit, ready to get into the action. I'm sure Twitch chat are happy of a quick start to this grand finals. Everybody waiting to see the action, of course. And yeah, it looks like we're going to get this show on the road pretty soon. The players are ready. And here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen of Twitch chat, Legion TD2 aficionados, here comes your April Nova Cup Grand Final. We have the Updogs on the left, that is Drakir and FC Lucy, and they are facing off against none other than Abracete on the right, that is Widdowson and Kingdans. Game number 1, let's go.
I mean, I just saw Lucy's tagline. It's a new
What
one.
is it? I missed that one. You're going to have to tell us off.
Accept donations for Drax chiropractor expenses.
Very nice, very nice.
Hey, Castle, okay.
Okay, interesting mix there. We have 2 players on the cartel, Drakir and Kingdans, opting for that early game advantage, and Lucy actually going for the castle. So maybe thinking Drakir's going to secure the early game and Lucy's going to secure the late game.
I mean, the Lizard Army is in the game, but Sack being in the game is such a powerful defensive option. I
Yeah,
think it's certainly possible to get through the early game. Especially with her role is decent. Adam Start does suffer from not being able to go 5 workers. You're a few gold short, but you could go Adam Steed Start. Yeah,
then she
that's what
can
she'll
go
do.
5 workers. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nicely done there, Lucy. The one thing that I don't really like about that is that her only tier 1 now is that Atom, and when she really wants the late game power of the Steeds funneling mana into her Hades, the Atoms are still going to be there, siphoning away the mana a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. That's something we have to look out for. Drakir going for looks like Grawl Packrat, 3 workers, and then you get the Fire Lord. It's
Okay.
pretty strong opener just because the Packrat helps you make up for, because normally you'd be 4 workers, so 3 workers Packrat is probably a bit stronger and gets you a little closer to that 5 worker starts that everyone else has.
And Widdowson with a Nightmare, Gargoyle, Mudman, Polywog roll. He's looking really strong for basically the entire early game. And then for the late game, he has that Priestess as well. And eggs.
It looks like pretty classic Widow roll with
Yeah.
Nightmare. just prioritizing tanks, and then he's got his favorite egg. I mean, King Dan's also has an egg, so we might see some classic overbuilding in the mid game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think King Dan's has a pretty decent role as well, right? He's got those anglers with the lifesteal, even with the white main potential. His role is very top heavy, though, very natural impact heavy as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think he'll be hoping that his reroll gives him some new options once he gets a few an angler or two down,
Yeah.
and perhaps ditching the cat for something a little stronger as well. Or he can even lose the butcher or the antler, one of those two.
He did try
So-
to test Drakir here with the snail on wave 2, but Drakir, of course, adding that looter in the split, he's going to be just fine, and Lucy receiving a king upgrade as well, so not much pressure onto the side of the updogs here.
Yeah, they should be chilling. The thing about Drakir, obviously, he can't push. Doesn't change too much, besides gives him 6 gold, so he'll be okay with it. But King is not going to be, like, in despair that he's feeding his opponent or anything like
No,
that.
no, no. There is another snail coming out, though, from King, so, I mean, you talk about not feeding, he's doing his best, it seems.
Yeah, just trying to get as much income as he can, I think.
Yep.
And Drakir will now have the freedom to push quite heavily. He has the casket for 7, which is usually Firelord's first consideration. So I imagine he has a pretty strong game plan set. And then he has the Disciple for 10, the Mudman for first Fort Tank. And Magician will be insane value for him this game. So I really like the way his role is shaping up.
Yeah, definitely. This is really nice split aggro here in Widdowson Flame, by the way, receiving the
Ooh,
60
yeah.
send, those two units perfectly sharing the damage, it seems, and that might even give him a hold. Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, honestly, incredible how well that Nightmare tanked.
Anything less than perfect aggro there, and Widdowson was going to leak. Like, not big, but he would have leaked. And now he has 7 workers, he's sending income into Lucy, but this thing here is looking pretty dangerous. This dino that's about to wander into King Dan's lane. Like, sure, King is on 410 value, but the dino pretty much counters everything in his lane. Lucy does not get a snail to join it. Dino will go straight left, though, I think. Straight into that Crusher, straight into that Bounty Hunter, and it's going to take a long time for him to get through that.
I think it's gonna just come down to his split tanking afterwards.
Yeah.
If he has decent split between his bounty, his cat after,
That
it's okay.
Crusher's
But it looks
still
like
alive.
his
It
cat
does-
is just feeding.
Yeah, cat's going down, it seems.
But the
And
bounty
he's
is
doing well.
pretty healthy.
There's 6 creeps alive. Yeah, this is actually going really well for him. Kind of unfortunate, actually, that Lucy couldn't afford that snail. It might have made a difference.
Yeah, for sure. If one of his units had gotten stuck there, so he actually just easy holds that. We were worried, but turns out just enough
King Dans
value.
knows his stuff, right? There's a reason he's the king. Now, Drakir with that Firelord casket is looking really solid, actually, for probably his first worry wave is wave 9, and then for that he has either King Claw or Mudman options. He's looking pretty good.
And Kira's actually like skipped 5 on Witters, so maybe thinking already about 7? I'm not sure what exactly his plan is with the skip. Oh, maybe just sending 6 after seeing that.
Yeah, the Harden there from Widdowson. And I quite like to do this, actually, skipping that wave 5 on a Nightmare player when you don't know what their role is. Because if you send like 100 and they do something like this Hardened Mudman or a Butcher and then just hold your send, then you've kind of missed your shot. But if you send just like a Drake on 6, for example, which is what I expect Drakir to send, it can quite often leak those builds that do really well on 5. And actually, he's saying no to the Drake. I want to send
Double
friends.
Brin, wow. And what can Twitter build? 140 gold, a Devilfish, and some Agar, I guess?
Yeah, I mean...
It's good against the Brutes, no doubt. But he's 140 under, which is tough times. And I mean, Drakir is also 160 under, but you know, he has a Firelord here, so
Yeah, Drakir's
taking advantage
very
of his
fine
rats.
here. But Widdowson and King Dans, they're kind of accepting the leak here, it seems like. They did both save their Mythium, and with what's going to almost certainly be a long wave 6 here, they're going to have a ton of Mythium to send on wave 7 or 8 when they want to counterattack.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a strong counterpunch whenever they go for it. And Witter's sniping one of the brutes, it looks like. I
Yeah,
think
but
he'll be
he's
able to get
leaking
that, but
hard. I don't think he kills
nothing
anything else apart
else.
from
Yeah.
that brute. That's an
And
80% leak there for Widdowson. And King Dance, he's not doing much better, it seems. He won't kill that last Rocco. 63% there for King, 80% for Widdowson. This is First Blood going to the side of the Updogs, and this is a lot of damage.
yeah, and they don't even get that hard of a push, and they just instantly go for the counterattack. No extra, no overcomplicating it. We see Fire Lord, it's still weak on 7.
This
But,
is a
I mean,
lot of gold, though, going over to Drakir and Lucy. It's really going to
Drac can
help them
get
to be
the
able to hold.
upgrade. And yeah, even a Disciple too, I mean.
What do you think about the Disciple? I might be tempted to just sell a rat and add like another Cursed Casket because like this, he's just shifting 29 gold for fun, you know? I
Yeah,
think the
it
230 gold would have been much better spent on a second casket.
could go for that. I think he's just worried about overcommitting for this wave. Just because if he builds another casket, then that's a lot of arcanes invested
Yeah.
when 9 and 10 are looking not the best for him. So I don't mind him just going, because he's overvalued, so he doesn't need to be perfect here.
Oh, his split
Obviously,
tanking is perfect. Look at this Fire
one more
Lord.
cast.
Oh, he
even?
gets another cast off as
Wow.
well. I mean, Drakir, to be fair, he's plus 25 value, and as we all know, value is strong.
And he's easy holding.
He's just holding, yeah. Lucy Leaks 76% though, but
And
King Dance
whoa.
69 to the Brute Snail Resend, and Widdowson, he's not holding
Uh-oh.
either. Only 34% there, but this is a one trade for the Updogs.
Yeah, I mean, King and Witter have the push. There's no doubt about that. They got more workers, but their King is not doing so good, and Drakir is going to be in such a good spot. Even
Talk about
covered, like, a
fast
little
and
bit
aggressive, by the way. The Updogs have brought Abrasiat down to 38% King HP already on Wave 7. These guys seem to be on fire.
there. Yeah, and Lucy is playing Castle. Let's not forget, she's in an insane spot. Like, maybe didn't hold that 7 so good, but her income looks comparable to the Greed player, not so far behind the Cartel players. Okay. She's like the same workers as Drakir. I mean, I feel like her
Yeah.
spot is honestly incredible.
Lucy is absolutely in a carry position in this game. Like, even if the game goes past Wave 11, which I'm not 100% sure of, by the way, with Abrasiat down to 38%, but assuming it does, Lucy's going to be in such a good spot to carry in the late game.
Yeah. And let's not like pretend like Drakir is gonna fall off either with his role.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's still some hope. King is in a pretty good spot. Gonna get his Kingpin power spike soon. And this income sun definitely cuts some of the pressure off. It looks like both teams realize they do need some regen.
Yeah.
So trying not to be vulnerable to those one hits. And we saw how much it paid off for Drakir and Lucy to do regens last game, so maybe it can work out for King and Witter the same. They're actually going to go for a little try-hard send here. It's going to be a resend onto Drakir. We'll see if he's ready for it. I mean, he has gold enough to build
Oh, Gate.
Gate.
The
Wow.
perfect unit to drop for Wave 9. Like, he's getting, what, 2 brutes? Does Widdowson? Yeah, Widdowson does get 2 brutes. But I think with Drakir's value, with the Fire Lord, with the Gate, he's going to be fine. He's even hunting his rat here. He really is not scared.
Yeah, I mean, he sees the plus sign and just isn't worried, especially since he's got a send last. And
Yeah.
Lucy has the wrong read, it looks like. Prepping a little for 10. But
Yeah, she's even shifting 55 gold as well, so definitely the wrong read here.
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's going to hurt. Lucy's going to leak pretty badly here, so
It is the Lucy aggro.
that fantastic early game that we were talking about, this seems to be the first misstep for Lucy's game so far. She will leak pretty badly here, I think. So let's see whether or not Drakir is able to cover here. And it looks like with the addition of that Gate, he's not just holding, he's easily holding with a ton of value left alive for the mid.
Just barely couldn't finish off the mole.
That's unlucky, Lucy.
Just a little more value added for this wave, and she might be able to not be so sad about that. But Drakir will at least cover most of this.
Yeah.
And it's not like their spot is any worse because they saved. So let's see what they choose to do with their send. I mean, they really could go here, but they can also go for 11 as well with Lizard Army. I think either option is perfectly fine. Or they can just go something like straight 13.
Yeah. I mean, I think something like an 11 into 13 with Lizard Army could be a good send pattern because they'll have a 400 Mythium send on wave 11 already, by the way, with the Lizard Army. So they might just win there, and then if not, they're going to have another 400, 500 on wave 13 again already for that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's for sure a possible line, especially with Lizard Army. Just one of the more dangerous spells and something you need to watch out for. Because it's easy to miss the first Lizard.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, they are going for the wave 11 send, it seems. The double 4-eyes coming out. Just some tanks as well there. Snails from Lucy,
Wow,
Dino from
okay.
Drakir.
With Sack, Witter can actually just get an Azeria if he just deletes his Doppel.
Ah, that's pretty good, actually, if they read this send here. We'll have to see
They're
what
going
happens.
for a Triad Son of their own, or at least King is, since he actually had 200.
Yep.
But, or Witter had 200 too, just didn't feel like trying.
Wooderson went
And
for
yeah, it is
Ink
going to be
on
the Doppel
send.
Sack into the Azeria, like.
Oh, really nice. Really nice.
And same here, sacked a cat for Azeria, so
Very
mean,
good
that's a
presence
surprise.
Of mind there. Very good presence of mind from both Kingdowns and Wooderson, knowing that the spells are in their favour, and this might actually change things. It feels like the Updogs are way ahead, but if these Azeria are able to hold this massive wave 11 send, maybe things are going to turn around.
And Witter has enough to get a Golem, or what's going on here? 2 more
He's going
Mudmen.
to have 5 hardened Mudmen. That's a lot of Mudmen.
It's a lot better than the Golem against 4-Eye too. That's something to note. So we'll see if these Azerias can stay alive. I think King has a better shot just because he also has a Kingpin getting involved. But so far, both Azerias are
just looks
tanking
pretty
exceptionally.
perfect for Kingdowns. Yeah, King and Wooderson, both of their Azerias tanked nicely there. It looks like King will
Not enough value,
lead.
maybe.
But Wooderson, though, Wooderson.
If he gets onto the
he's doing very
4-Eye,
well.
he'll be okay.
The thing tacking the.
But
creeps there.
everyone leaking actually.
Lucy
So
and Drakir leaking as well, but they have a much healthier King with just 40% HP remaining. Are Abrasir out of this game number 1?
it's gonna be close. I mean, double 4-Eye is quite a bit of damage to the King, and they don't have enough attack. I think.
They're
Yeah, wow.
dead.
That's
Wow.
crazy. I mean, they had perfect play, perfect counterplay, and still just wasn't quite enough.
Man, that was crazy, right? Like, what a fast game there by the Updogs. This was so back and forward, like a roller coaster
yeah.
on the win probability graph, but really it feels like they were in the lead all
We
the way
joked
from this
about
wave 6.
Joked about the game ending before Castle could kick in, but it really did.
Yeah.
Lucy got 1 wave of Castle income, and that's all they needed, really. I mean, the early game was so nice. She had so much pressure on King, even while playing Castle, so that's pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the end for Abrasir was this wave 6, the 140 send against Wooderson leaking 80, the 100 against King leaking 63, and they just lost 40% King HP from there, and already from wave 6 they're playing on the back foot, right, which is not where you want to be.
Yeah.
That gold then allowed Drakir to hold his wave 7 send, cover all of Lucy's leaks as well, and then, yeah, sure, Lucy's leaking wave 9, but they have so much more Mythium there for wave 11, sending 520 into Wooderson, who just barely leaks, 480 into Kingdowns, who leaks a little bit more, and yeah, man, game number 1 going to the Updogs in style there, Othma.
Yeah, like a quick knockout, really. Just
Yeah.
finishing that one on 11. I mean, Kira getting the most out of his cartel than for that game. For sure. I mean, the extra gold in the early game let him get to those important breakpoints. Like, he barely got his gate out while pushing. He barely had... or he didn't barely, but imagine that leak wasn't quite as big. He can still barely get out, like, the Disciple plus the Casket upgrade. So, yeah, really, really nice game 1 from the Updogs. We'll see if Abrasir can come back with something different this game. Because we'll see if, like, maybe some... Legion spells are different. They'll swap up their masterminds or not. But they have plenty of options.
I mean, what do you think they have to do to come back into this one? Because that game, I mean, sure, it wasn't easy for the Updogs, but it also didn't feel like they were behind really at any point in the game. Like, again, that big wave 6 play, it just seemed like they were sealing the deal from that point.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, they just got caught, I guess, on an early game mistake. King thinking that he's gonna be able to hold the smaller send, but
Yeah.
his units were just not good enough for that wave.
All right.
Ooh,
Well, let's see what Abrasiate
blessing.
have got to say for themselves, because here we go with game number 2.
Are we gonna see? Okay, I was wondering if we might see like some cheese with Lock and Priestess or
Oh,
something, because there's
there's that
blessing,
Fiesta
but
pick for Lucy.
oh, okay, finally, let's see it. She doesn't have amazing stuff in her opener, maybe just Oathbreaker or the Wild Shroom, but nothing, no free Fiesta opener at
No,
least.
she doesn't have that Consort, Windhawk, Pixies, Oh, she has rerolled. I was going to say, yeah, I think that's a reroll on one Fiesta. Let's see, does she pick up one of those magic openers that can set her up for a fantastic Fiesta game?
I see some crazy potential in a lot of these roles.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Antler gates or OT gates with strong early game like Kingpin or Angler and Skateguard, and we have the same for Drakiro, Angler options, Priestess options, Consort Garg openers. I
King Dance
mean,
has the Lifesteal, Shadow Dancer as well. And
with
with
Dark
Divine
Mage even.
Blessing as well. Oh, with Dark
Yeah,
Mage, yeah, that's King Dance has a
and that's looks
fantastic
like what
role.
he's going for. And Witter also opting into that early game with Gateguard Angler into OT gates as his late game.
And Lucy does go with the Oathbreaker, so she did not find anything better in her reroll, unfortunately for her. And the double Gateguard opener, that's an interesting one for King Dance and Widdowson. But yeah, the Angler edition does make Widdowson's build stand out a little.
Yeah, so far the best divine user is definitely going to be King with the DK. But it's not like Kingpin is that bad with it. It's still an insanely statted unit.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm really surprised
so
actually because Drakia did have Priestess in his opening role, but chose not to pick it. Priestess, of course, probably the best possible unit to pair with that Divine
mhm.
Blessing spell. So really kind of curious as to why he didn't pick that unit there.
Yeah, I'll say that his role looks a lot better if I didn't know there if I knew that divine wasn't in the game. So perhaps just valuing the overall role. I think this role has a little better and looks a little bit better in the early
Yeah.
game. And the LOD might be something that Drake here just prefers to top off this role rather than the priestess.
And Widdowson sending a king up here into Drakia's Green Devil, like, he always seems to do this on Widdowson, and I really want to know why, because it just gives the Green Devil player such an easy push. He can go 7 workers here if he wants to on Drakia.
Yeah, for sure it's something that Drakir will take advantage. Not sure he'll go 7 just because his mate is Fiesta.
Yeah, he stays on 6.
And there's something to be worried about there. And he's gonna get out the Angler here. Hopefully it'll collect enough stacks.
He may be getting some stacks from Lucy here, because King Dance is going to send 3 snails, and Lucy, of course, with those 6 workers, 215 value, probably going to go for a little bit of a leak.
Yeah, it looks like King is thinking about sending this last snail or not, and he just might. Yeah, he holds on to it.
Okay. So we'll have to see how Lucy does against these 2 snails. It might actually end up being a really nice Fiesta for her.
Yeah, that could be juicy. I mean, her Aqua isn't like over tanking, and the Oath is
Oathbreaker.
definitely over tanking, so
Yeah, it didn't
might
live
still be
very
able to get a
long.
leak here. Yeah, it looks like a small leak. If she can get, yeah, she got 2 with the last Aqua
That's
cast.
pretty fine. 40% there. It would have been much bigger, actually, with that 3rd snail. So King Downs maybe
Yeah.
kicking himself for holding his Mythium there. That probably would have turned
Yeah.
a 40% leak into like a 70, maybe even 80, just because of the way that the AoE units work.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario because you can't know that Lucy's Fiesta yet.
Yeah. Now he probably
It
does.
could, yeah.
And there is a full snail
Just more
resend coming
Aquas?
out from the King. Yeah. I mean, 4 Aquas, Lucy. Pennywise is unsure about Aqua Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, it's better here, and she's right that she's getting a big send here, so
It's pretty
what did I
bad on
read?
5 and 6, though.
Yeah,
So
that's my worry. Like, I feel like perhaps Welshroom, if you want to hedge your bets more towards those waves,
oh,
but
King Dan's just got the 4th snail there at the last second as well. I think this might end up being pretty bad for Lucy. We'll have to see how overpowered these
all
Aquas are.
those Aqua buffs are
Oh.
definitely gonna help her out. I mean,
I
it's
mean,
kind of
they
shredding
are
the
shredding
wave.
the wave. Yeah, the snails are going to make it through, but a lot of the chickens going down there under the Aqua's onslaught. Meanwhile,
Ooh,
Drakir,
look at this.
how is he doing against an 80 send of
Perfect
his
aggro.
own? Yeah, really nice there. He is holding,
Maybe
but
not the full cover,
he's not going
but
to cover. Yeah,
I think that I'll be okay with that. It's just baby king damage,
yeah,
right?
very
And
minimal king damage actually.
Lucy is the most pushed, and they are going for some
Oh,
brutes here.
Brutes on 5.
Which,
Interesting to
I
point out that
mean,
Drakir's Angler only on 38 mana. Oh, but yeah, that Harbinger from Kingdowns, just barely getting enough gold here from those leaks on the side of Lucy, means he
yeah,
doesn't need to resend on wave 5. He can hold his Mythium and still afford that Harbinger.
I'm unsure about what's happening. I think, I think Witter might be the victim in all this, just
Yeah.
because he has no real damage. The Coiler is a lot weaker on 5 than 4, but if King still has his Harb up, he will cover quite easily,
This
and
is
he's
really
sniping
nice
the Brute like
split
first
focus for
unit or
King.
something.
Yeah, the Aqua perfectly tanking the boss, +1 Scorpion. The Harbinger does get his second summon out. That just looks like a hold for King. Maybe like a Brute only leak, but no, I think that's just a full hold.
The doggo is so strong, but yeah, we see this. The problem here is there's no Harbinger, right? We haven't invested into the bounty, so have to take that leak, but at least King
53%
is
there
there.
for Widdowson, but Kingdom's now with his 9 workers, and because he was able to save his Mythium here, he now has 100 Mythium, so quite a decent amount of pressure against Lucy. He does go for the Cannoneer send here on wave 6, where Lucy's looking pretty weak actually.
Yeah, the range brute, it's pretty deadly. And let's see what Drakir's answer. It's gonna be a Sea Dragon, which is perfect for the Dino Sun. The rest of his gold isn't perfect, but um,
Yeah,
should be okay
69
on
gold is
value.
nice, but not very useful to spend. I mean, is he even going to spend it, or does he want to shift some gold here, thinking maybe it's a wave 7
Mm,
send? Lucy does get the
yeah.
canopy out, so when I said that she was weak, that was before I saw the canopy. Now she's looking okay, but a lot of it's going to come down to whether this canopy tanks too much.
Yeah, now she has a solid answer at least. I mean, the range brute, if the Ashen ever gets onto the Canopy, then there's some trouble there, but
Yeah.
looks like she'll be leaking small, maybe just the Cannoneer and a creep or so.
Oh, the canopy is going down, but not before it clears up nearly all of the Roccos, and yeah. Meanwhile, Drakir, it
She...
looks like he's doing very well. Isn't that just a full hold from Drakir? It looks like yes. Oh
Aye, so
no!
close.
Lucy leaking the Rocco and the Cannoneer with a sliver of HP. That was
Just
so
one more Aqua
close.
Pump, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she can kill the Cannoneer and Pro Leak the... Ah, it's very close with Aqua RNG. Like, she has enough Aquas where
Yeah.
really one bounce there, one bounce here, like, could have been the difference. They're actually gonna go for this 7 income send. I thought they might look
24
8,
damage
but...
on the Aqua, and there was 29 HP on the Cannoneer.
Ooh.
I think with the pierce into Swift,
Yeah,
one more
maybe.
shot would have killed that Cannoneer. That would have been amazing for Lucy.
Yeah, that could have been the difference, honestly. I mean, the Cannoneer is worth, like, what, 30 gold, so... It definitely stings a little bit.
Yeah. Now we have some pretty big sends coming out here on 7, 140 and 160 into Kingdowns and Widdowson. Widdowson with 800 value though, I think he's going to be very fine. Let's have a look at
Yeah.
Kingdowns. He's a bit lower there with 700 value. He did get the Azora which tanked the Cannoneer perfectly. The Harbinger does get the second summon off, and I think this is just going to be a repeat of wave 5. Yeah, looks like an easy hold there for the King. Maybe
I'm
a Cannoneer
surprised.
leak? But
I'm
yeah,
surprised, to be honest, that Drakir just sent here, like, income. I thought he was just gonna go for the 8-10, especially after 6, but maybe favoring scaling his own build a little bit more than...
Look at this.
Ooh,
There's a mole
that's-
entering Lucy's lane here, and she's building for wave 9. So she makes this Soul Gate here on wave 8, which is
yeah, that's tough.
really bad on wave 8. Really bad on wave 8. So not quite reading it properly. But then, what were her options, really? With 260 gold, she could upgrade a couple of Aquas, she could build an Elite Archer, but the unupgraded version is just not quite the powerhouse it needs to be on wave 8 against a Mole Send. I think
Yeah, I
this is
think
going to be
the
a
problem
pretty
here
bad
is just...
league.
Yeah, King is just 15 workers, so this is a one-wave skip into a 200
200
send,
send. Yeah, King Downs
which
is... he's having a bit of a game, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was worried. That's why I was worried about that 7 income resend. Looks like Drakir needed it to get his kingpin smoothly, but it really
Oh,
just let King snowball hard.
92% there from Lucy. Like the silver lining in the cloud is that she is playing Fiesta, but that's a
Hmm.
really bad Fiesta leak.
Yeah, and now what do they look for to target? Because Witter has no problems until 10 maybe, but he's gonna have Kingpin and a Deep Coiler along with some other values, so I'm not even
Maybe
too
they just
worried. And
want like wave 11 straight. But then for wave 11, there's Divine Blessing available, there's
Mhm,
Savior if you
right.
just want some gold. Like, yeah, I mean, Jules for some reason is actually giving the slight edge to the Op Dogs, but for me, it feels like Kingdans and Widdowson are ahead in this game.
Yeah, I think maybe Jules just seeing the Mythium. And I mean, if that Mythium converts to a advantage, then yeah, I mean, it could be good. I mean, there's double Harb and a Bunk, so maybe over investing into this wave 9 where there's going to be no send. And I
Now,
think
this
10 is the logical choice.
Yeah, I think it has to be wave 10 really for the Updogs. Kingdans did go for another income dino resend. Lucy will be able to hold this, so that's a bit of a blessing in disguise. You know, it's released some of that pressure that Kingdans had against FC Lucy. And here we have the counterpunch. There's a Ghost Knight from
Uh-oh.
Drakir, there's an Ogre and a Brute from FC Lucy. Kingdans is going for damage here, though. He
Wait,
replies with a Mole in kind.
he might be. Can he just sell this for Haven or something like that? Oh, that works too. Arcter, sure.
Yeah, no, Octa's pretty good, but he's otherwise
Not the
looking
GK killer.
pretty bad on this wave, honestly. Like, he just doesn't really have damage here. And yeah,
Yeah,
the GK is going to be very difficult for Kingdans to deal with.
I will say Witter has a 137 stack Kingpin.
Yeah, he does. He also has
Could
two
be.
Harbingers, which are both very bad on wave 10. His one saving grace, other than the Kingpin, is of course this Deep Coiler, which is an absolute beast on wave 10.
Yeah, I mean, can
One
he...
Harbinger goes down immediately, so
Oh,
does the
he's
second
split
one.
focused on the
There will be
ogre?
no summons coming out today from those.
My god, but look at he is killing this boss fast.
Yeah,
It's
he
it's
really
kind of a
is.
race here,
He's got
but
insane DPS.
he's gonna still
Meanwhile,
leak, I think.
Kingdowns has been able to get through that GK, but he
Wow.
will not be able to kill the boss. That's 53% on Widdowson. Lucy, meanwhile, leaking to the Mole resend. 41% on Dans, and 41% on Drakir to the full income send as well, by the way. Okay.
Waldo?
Waldo
I mean,
for
it's
sure.
only a small leak for sure, but it's still gonna net them a little bit of king damage, which could make all the difference, really.
I mean, small leak, yeah, and they have got the King HP advantage now by about 20%. But it feels like that trade was almost favourable for the side of Abraceat, right? Because it was an income send against Drakir, which got a leak, and it was full try-hard, like, power mercenaries against Kingdans and Widdowson. Sure, they got the leaks, but it wasn't that much bigger, like considering that it was a much higher Mythium send with power mercenaries. So now they've got a pretty nice income lead, at least against Drakir. Lucy, of course, the Fiesta player, as expected, has a bit more income just because of how the mastermind works. But yeah, like Abraceat, if you look at this, Kingdans is on fire.
Yeah, he's definitely taken a pretty big step forward. 19 workers. I mean, they look to be in a good spot, and Lucy actually going for a savior, not valuing blessing on any of her units, so
I can see it. Like, Lucy really doesn't have a Divine Blessing carry unit, so to speak. Like, her carry is this gate, of course, but I mean, Divine Blessing doesn't even work on gate, so you can't even think about that. She could maybe have put it on the archer, but yeah, I think she just valued the king HP and a little bit of gold more than that, which is absolutely fine.
yeah, and I'm curious to see what the plans are with this blessing. I would imagine people are aiming to skip 13. Okay, Witterson found a priestess in his reroll. A little awkward with the coilers, but can probably still make it work.
Yeah.
And I would
I mean, if
imagine
you
they
look at Widdowson's build, right, like his first real weak wave is 15, and then, I mean, he's looking pretty bad on 16, actually, where the Priestess doesn't help very much. But yeah, he's definitely happy to pick up that Azeria for wave 15 hold potential.
Yeah, I would imagine Drakir wants to skip 13. He has enough to get Hades with Divine Blessing.
Yeah.
And then for 14, he'll have OT even. So he looks to be in a decent shape.
both Drakir and Widdowson shifting a large amount of gold here on wave 12. So again, correctly reading the game, there are no sends here. And do you know what? I really don't like this. I really don't like the Lord of Death with Divine Blessing because, I mean, sure, the attack speed helps a little, and maybe you get some more last hits to pump up that Thanatos mana. But the HP is almost entirely wasted on your Hades, right? Because if the wave ever reaches the Hades, well, you're already leaking, and 2,000 extra HP on that squishy
Income
unit.
King. I'm very
Man.
surprised by this because I look at their values and I think like, did they have to Income King? I mean, Drakir has perfect goal for the OT plus Hades, but did he? I just feel like they didn't need.
He's even hardening here. Like they're feeling the pressure, but oh, pardon my ping there. Kingdans and Widdowson, they're not pulling the trigger here. And with this income send against them, they're just going to be able to push workers to the moon and really control the pace of the game because they can just send whenever they want now.
Yeah, I mean, one argument could be that like you can't really leak Drakir for a while, so it's not the worst thing to send, but I mean, if you give them enough Mithium, sure, like 15 looks good, but like you send enough Mithium, I think that even this Hades could leak there.
Oh, the other thing that we didn't talk about with Widdowson's Azeria reroll, again, the perfect Divine Blessing unit.
Yeah.
So he pops it out there, puts his blessing on it. That's a much better target for the blessing than a Kingpin is.
So Drakir and Lucy just favored going double Income King, expecting 14. Didn't think that they could leak them because of the blessing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how they do. We have one
Lucy
hardened
has
OT golem.
3 white main buffed canopies and a Trinity Archer, and Drakir has Ocean Templar Circle with hardened golem.
This double 4-eye doesn't do that good against. It's very good against the healing for sure, but if Drakir is able to get some more like Green Devils or something like that out, it's a lot more efficient against that.
Or even small stuff like a hardened Mudman, right? It's very effective against a 4
Oh, and an Ogre. Okay, so the Ogre is definitely going to help out here against the golem.
I mean, the
only
sends are
damage...
massive. Like, the sends are absolutely massive, but both Drakir and Lucy are on 3k value here on wave 14. Like, I think they're feeling pretty good about this. We'll have to see. I think for sure that Drakir's going to lose his blessing, though, if nothing else.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, you can see he has just no damage besides a Kingpin and this Hades on 14, which just... You know, it's magic damage on an Arcane Wave, but they look like they're doing okay?
72% there, 114 from Drakir. Of course, the double 4-eyes really pumping those numbers up, and even with their nearly fully upgraded King, they're going to take a lot of damage here. Oh, and yeah, Offmer, you're pointing out the workers on Kingdans and Widdowson. It looks like they're pushing really hard. I guess they want to go for like a wave 16 end to this.
Drakir is just chilling.
Yeah.
Oh, well now he's pushing. But now, like, you could... I'm sure they're looking at their values, they're like, something's up here.
Yeah. Everybody's looking pretty undervalued. Kingdans is minus 400. Widdowson's looking the best at only about minus 250 when he finishes spending. But this could be a very scary wave 16. We might see the game ending there. Kingdans and Widdowson are both on fire now.
I feel like I have to give the edge to King and Witter still, because they still have their blessings. Like,
yeah.
They can afford to play this undervalue, whereas Drac and Lucy, their strength in their build is only what you see is what you get.
And I mean, I think Kingdans can just pretty easily hold a Wave 16 send. He has 2 Arc Tears, fantastic tanks for Wave 16. He has that Lifesteal DK with the Blessing as well, by the way. It just means he's going to pop out infinite clones there, which can just, you know, it can just really pop off and smurf and hold Wave 16 like no other.
I feel like the only way they don't hold 60 is they skip for fun, but they're gonna send. So, and you can see Drakir already like
struggling,
pretty good on this wave and struggling. Yeah. The value just isn't there for him, and he's actually just pushing to leak King here and hoping that. Oh, they went for like a double hard push. And just hope
Drakir's even selling units, by the way. He really wants to leak Kingdans here. I assume I think
they're committed to trying to kill them if they skip. But Witter is going
Widdowson's
full King
correctly
spell.
reading the suicide, by the way. He's upgrading King rather than full sending into Drakir's suicide. That's a very nice read there from Widdowson. Very nice read.
Yeah, it looks like that read is going to pay off. And basically the only way they lose is sending. Not sending here, and they already did that part, so...
but I think as well, like, Lucy's really bad here. She has one elite archer, and that's her only good unit on this wave 16.
Yeah, the gates are definitely getting destroyed by these witches and imps, so I think there's just not enough value to hold on here.
Drakir,
Really
of course,
counting on
leaking immediately there, 159% from him. And Lucy, I mean, she's leaking very soon after. Meanwhile, Widdowson and Kingdans, I mean, they're just holding, right? With this Divine Blessing Lifesteal Dreadnought, it just seems invincible. Sure, Widdowson leaks there, but Kingdans, he's just holding. And meanwhile, these creeps are about to say hello to the king of Drakir and FC Lucy. It looks like Team Abrasiat have brought the series to a tie.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice game from both of them. King especially had a really nice push in the early game, just got his Harbinger, held the big send, and just kind of snowballed from there. I mean, getting incomed on 7 was really nice for him. Dodges his weak wave, which is 8, and like even though they got this big 10 send, they did completely fine.
Yeah. They did
They were
very
able to-
fine on wave 10. Like we were talking about, they did take a little bit more king damage, but the fact that they're much smaller and the income sends as well were able to get pretty much an equivalent leak against Lucy and Drakir. It put Kingdans and Widdowson in a really nice spot moving into the mid game.
Yeah, I feel like this income king on 13 was just a little bit of a misread.
That was an uncharacteristic mistake there from the Updogs, it feels like, because I mean they're both on really good value for 13 with good units as well, right? Like I'm not quite sure why they felt the need to send Income King here on 13, and it really just gave Kingdans and Widdowson a free push so they can send massive amounts of Mythium on 14, and then from there the game is all but over, really.
Yeah, I mean, like they just pushed insanely hard after that, and there's no counter.
Yeah.
Like from there.
Wow, what a
I mean,
series.
Yeah, they went for a risk. I mean, Drakir and Lucy had like honestly like that play could have worked if King and Witter just messed up.
They
but-
needed them to skip, right? But Kingdans and
Yeah.
Widdowson had the same idea. So, in fact, Kingdans and Widdowson, I think, had pushed before they did. So they were
Yeah.
already committed to it before Lucy and Drakir decided to go for the same game plan. And yeah, like the only way that Drakir and Lucy, I think, win from that point after wave 14 is if Kingdans and Widdowson decide to skip 16. But no, these guys, they're too good to make a mistake like that. And as a result, it's 1-1 as we move into game number 3.
Yeah, and we're gonna see. I mean, now they can see that Lucy was Fiesta. I don't know if they completely figured it out. I would assume they were able to put it together after those leaks on 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But we'll see if like I would assume Lucy does not want to play it again because
that was
it would
Kingdans on Cartel, right?
Yeah, I think that they stuck with the same thing as first. So Cartel on King and Greed on Witter. So
Yep.
honestly, I could see them swap it up. Witter taking over the Cartel role and King playing well whatever he wants to play. I guess whether
Yeah.
it's like Chaos, Greed.
I think Kingdans might try and hold on to his Chaos pick until he sees some favorable spells. So, like,
Yeah.
if he can maybe hold on to that one until last, and then if there's a pawn shop game or something like that, Kingdans is going to snap pick that Chaos Trust. But guys, game number 3, we're tied 1-1 currently. Let's see which team can take a lead as we go into
Ooh.
game number 3. And there is Kingdans Chaos. Okay, so ignore what I said completely. He just goes for it here in game number 3. No pawn shop to be seen.
Yeah, and so that goes for the Chaos Castle. I mean, we talked with King before about when they pick this combination. It's just because the Legion spells. If there's nothing aggressive and it's all like either buffs or econ stuff, they'll just play the weaker like early game options because there's no way to get punished in that mid game instantly.
Oh, Widdowson going for the Castle Sakura, by the way. We saw him have an absolutely insane game of Castle Sakura yesterday against the Bulgarian squatters. Though it has to be said, Itzo was sending a lot of Mythium there, like giving him a bit of an easy game. We'll have to see whether Drakir and Lucy can maybe make it a bit more difficult for him here. But Lucy's opening Sakura as well. And if you're a Sakura player, you love to see the enemy player sending into you is also Sakura because you just have a very comfortable early game because of that low worker push.
Yeah, something to note also last game that King and Witter swapped the sending order, and they're keeping it again this game. So not sure if Drakir and Lucy just don't care or they just don't think it mattered. but just something to note that they actually did swap it.
Yeah.
So some Sakura on Sakura crime this game, looks like.
Some hot Sakura action, it seems, yeah. But I think Widdowson is coming out ahead on this one, though. Although, to be fair, Drakir is cash out Bone Crusher, also receiving from Sakura. So yeah, there is the 6th worker push, as expected. He's going to have a pretty nice game as well. That's the real downside to Sakura, right? Because it can be an early game monstrosity, but it really depends what you're sending into. Because something like a Bone Crusher is going to have a really free game because of that low worker push into him.
Yeah, I even saw Drakir like doing the math or doing the position where he like figures out where his Aqua is and then, you know, puts the Bony for his Fire Archer as well, so that he can hold 3 easily as well. Okay, Lucy getting king up, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, King Dan's just wanting to snowball. He did it pretty well last game. I'm sure he can do it again.
Yeah, I mean, camping Sakura is completely fine. I mean, it's just such a safe opener.
Yeah.
You gotta prioritize yourself, and they'll see the 6 workers from Drakir now. Probably gonna dissuade King from even thinking about going 6 workers, so...
This is a really long wave, actually, from Drakir.
Oh,
and
wow,
there's
he
that
actually gets Fiend.
He's going to be able to send a Snail as well if he wants to. Let's have a look at King Dan's build. Oh, he even has the Gargoyle, though. Very skillful Chaos roll there from the King.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to go for Gargs or just this Infiltrator in a PvE.
Okay.
So, let's see. I mean, if this Fiend Snail, I think both go left here with this Infiltrator positioning.
Right.
And it might be pretty good with the Infiltrator right onto that... the Fiend right onto the Infiltrator.
Yeah, that Fiend can make short work of the Infiltrator, for sure. And then, assuming it lives as well, the little slimes, when they spawn, can never kill a Fiend. But he doesn't even add the Snail. He's actually going to save it for next wave, I assume.
It'd be the same thing. Luckily, the Infiltrator can actually kill a Fiend compared to the Slime Mummy, so should be doing okay here.
A very long wave, though, from King Dan's.
Yeah, definitely gonna
holding.
favor no one, really, since they're all pretty high. They're all 6 workers now. Might help Widder get to his Dino.
Yeah, I mean, the slimes just take forever to clear here.
I think he can't afford to push just because his units aren't that good, and Drakir was already 6 workers, so it's gonna be some big sense, though. I think could be 100 for Drakir to deal with.
Yeah.
And he'll be fine, though. He gets his Fire Aqua.
Yeah, the Fire Aqua and the Fire Archer, insane units on wave 4, both of them. And this Fire Archer, I'm pretty sure, is low enough that it won't take any aggro from that Dino, which means it's just going to stay alive.
Yeah, it shouldn't, but we know how Legion can be a little fickle sometimes.
RNG in my video game? Never, good sir.
And yeah, King favoring to get out this Adam.
Alright, the Fire Archer does not tank the Dino. It does tank 4 chickens.
Is Adam dead? I think this Adam might just die, or it's perfect split tanking, one or the other.
It looks pretty good. Does it?
Can it kill that chicken?
Oh no, it just dies before the chicken!
I think that's going to be a pretty big... It's going to be a leak then,
I mean,
for sure,
the slime blobs are going to struggle against the chickens, right? Meanwhile, Widdowson, his Sakura drops to 200 HP, but I think the leak is small enough from King Dan's that Sakura can cover. I mean, I'm not sure. There's 5 creeps. But yeah, Drakir full holding the 100 send there with his Fire Elemental and Fire Archer. Make notes of this positioning, guys. Very, very clean hold there from Drakir. Oh, and the Sakura goes down! King Dan's Waldoing his teammate here on wave 4. One of those all-important Sakura stacks is lost here for Widdowson.
That hurts a lot, for sure. And, I mean, it's going to come back to bite them later, whenever Lucy decides to actually send the Sakura. Because that one stack can make a huge difference. I mean, it already does on 5, right? Losing 1 stack before 5 means you don't, was it like 2-shot the little ones?
Yeah, I think like with a seed and full stacks, it 2-shots. but without the stack, obviously it needs 3. There's no send here though, so the small difference there won't really be a problem for Widdowson. But Lucy has a decent chunk of Mythium. She can pretty much decide to send whenever she wants now. Does she go for 6? Does she go for 7?
I think 7 looks pretty okay if they want to go that deep. I can also like totally understand Lucy just wanting to scale a bit, but I think going for a 7 punch together makes a lot of sense here. And Drakir is 10 workers, by the way, and getting another send from 7 worker castles. So
I mean, this is all about the Castle Sakura sending into a Bone Crusher opener, right? Sometimes you just win the lottery, and for Drakir, I mean, he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself today with this this send order massively favourable to the way he opened this game.
Yeah, he's just feasting this game. I mean, this resend he gets here, he can... I mean, it's a full send, right? So he knows he can push hard as well.
Yeah.
And he even has perfect Fire Archer aggro as well.
Wave 7 send, as you expected. Widdowson's got options. You know, he's going to have a fully stacked... Oh, he actually shifted gold here. I missed that on Widdowson.
Ooh.
Is he going to get the banana bunk out?
That can be big. Lucy already reading that... not going for like a mimic or anything, just going straight for those brutes, which is the best send versus the cat and the gate guard, to be fair, but also the best send against not knowing what...
Against a surprise banana bunk, yeah, for sure.
And let's see how King does, because he is going to be basically on value, but his units aren't that inspiring here. It's going to be a Daphne.
Okay, I mean, it's good damage.
Yeah, good synergy with the Atom, to be fair. And yeah, recognizing he needs to protect his Atom here. Doesn't want a repeat of wave 4.
No, he's going to need
Imagine
that
there
damage.
was it's just a triple brute Drakir just Sui push, by the way.
Whoa,
he's 14 workers.
Lucy's getting 3 brutes as well, but Drakir's not receiving any send here. There's 180 Mythium for Lucy, 180 for King Dans, and 200 for Widdowson. I mean, sure, he gets that banana bunk, but it's still going to be a pretty bad leak on the side of the Witherman.
Yeah, and King is getting good value out of all his units. Like, it was a 40 on
Lucy
5.
is the first to leak. Widdowson soon after, 67. And King Dans, he's doing really well. Like, you'd be happy with this hold normally, 56% against a 180. But with his teammate leaking as well, they're about to take a ton of King damage.
Yeah, that was a 40 on 5 into 180 on 7. Like, I feel like no reasonable person would expect that big of a set.
Yeah.
But Drakir just with a perfect read that he's not getting a resend here, because you got a full send on 6 from 7 workers. Like, he definitely knew that he could take advantage of this gap.
Yeah. He was even able to cover some of his teammates' leaks here, despite being 570 value on wave 7.
He's getting away with it again. Like, there's not going to be a send, so he's going to keep pushing. He needs to figure out where to put this Disciple, but...
Oh, he's correctly reading the skip here on wave 8. He's building that boar, which obviously pretty bad wave 8, but pretty good wave 9.
Yeah. Would be a nice read, and still doesn't have a perfect 9 answer in terms of DPS. Like, the slime is probably the best, but...
And Widdowson's going to have a pretty big send there, actually. Like, he should be able to get an Ogre in income here, especially with these resends making the wave a bit longer.
Yeah. It could be a time to dig for a reroll here. I wouldn't hate that. Maybe find like a true answer, like a gate or something.
I mean, it's Drakir, right? If he wants a gate for wave 9, he's going to have a gate for wave 9.
Yeah, he just needs to
press the button.
Look deep into Jules' soul.
And King Dans is leaking to this 140 send despite having 925 value. But that's kind of good for him, honestly. It's a pro leak, and Widdowson has a ton of Mythium stored.
Yeah, the thing is, he is forced to send because Lucy is, or is he? Okay, yeah, I was gonna say Lucy has like 180, could be a pretty big send onto Widder himself, so he needs to protect it. And it is just gonna be a Disciple and maybe some blobs, or what's the plan here?
He goes
a
for
second boar.
I mean, sure, he's got tank, but like you were saying, where's his damage, Offmer?
Yeah, the ogre is gonna have a feast, I guess. I mean, he has a good amount of AoE between the boars and the Aqua, I guess. If there's no Hermit, this could be quite good, and it's just going to be a Brute added. So we'll see. I mean, the problem with this, obviously, is that he's weak on 10 now.
Now, there's a 220 send there for Widdowson. He's going to be pretty fine against that, I'm sure. It's only income and regen. But Drakir's the lane we need to watch. He receives this 260 Mythium. It's an Ogre and a Brute. He did have 2 boars.
Looks like he's killing everything besides the
besides the Ogre?
Ogre.
Wow. I mean, sure, he's got some value there. 1,205 value for Drakir. But yeah, a very, very good performance nonetheless. He's leaking only the Ogre, and that with nearly half HP. 25 gold shot down, though. That kind of sucks. Just before Widdowson's Castle Power Spike kicks in, he's very happy to get that 25 gold.
Yeah, it's the famous castle strategy. You just are lower on the power score because you're castle, and then you farm a quick shutdown. It can definitely get you a little bit closer back in the game. I think that the first one to watch is definitely King still being in the game. Obviously, Drakir is miles ahead, but
Widdowson
not that...
resending here, by the way. This is an interesting one because Drakir, before he dropped this Disciple, is looking absolutely garbage on wave 10. And he's on fire
still
again.
Be donating another 25.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Like, I think Widdowson resends here, and he does full send because he sees Drakir looks really weak, and he just wants that 25 gold shutdown. Again, another shutdown before his Castle Power Spike kicks in would be amazing for Widdowson here.
Yeah, I mean, double boar is just some of the most uninspiring stuff, but the Disciple definitely is what he needed here. And the Slime Mummy's actually going to get off her passive, and this maybe buys enough time?
It's going to be close, because the boss is about to start hitting the Disciple. You don't think so?
Maybe if the Fire Archer had tanked? Honestly, if he sold the Fire Archer for like another blob or something, maybe it was enough time.
Yeah.
But
and
he was also 100 HP away, so...
Widdowson, who did have that slower early game that we talked about, he's now on par with all the others. His Castle Power Spike kicks in. He's been able to farm 50 gold shutdown now from Drakir over the last 2 waves. I think, you know, the game was looking a bit shaky there in the early game, but now, with those shutdowns, it feels pretty much neck and neck.
Basically creditor for everyone besides Lucy, because she's actually getting a big send here. So... the slight advantage if you want to talk about who can generate value from creditor in this game, but it's gonna be a long save, that's for sure, with triple creditor and castle involved. Everyone is on.
See the one player not going for that creditor, and actually she's showing that she isn't as well. She just places the villain there on her Sakura. I mean, sure, she's going to be able to hold here. This was a big send from Kingdans, so I can understand why she didn't feel able to take the creditor. But because of that, I mean, it's just economic damage against them, right? Kingdans and Widdowson both with creditor, only Drakir on the side of the updogs, so they are going to be able to get more gold than their opponents. That said, villain is also a very powerful spell.
So, like, in terms of value, you're thinking about, can this villain provide more than... well, King even loses a little bit of gold here, so... more than the creditor over 3 waves. Yeah. So, it's gonna be tough. Like, villain obviously scales incredibly hard. So perhaps if this game goes super late, then the villain will be generating more value, but it comes down to what kind of calls can you make with this creditor, because if you can out-save your opponents, then... You know, that's a job well done, but out-saving Drakir at this point is going to be tough, for sure.
Really tough.
I mean, King is doing his best. Like, he's one more worker, similar income. He's just way lower on value.
He is lower on value, but he's playing Chaos, and, like, you can never rule out a Chaos player in the late game. They just... If they high roll, the Chaos player pretty much always has the best late game roll.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how lucky he is.
I mean, his role is shaping up quite nicely already at APS on Halo and LOD, so he just needs to find some quality tanks. That looks like about the only thing he's missing, and he did find Budman, which is about as good as you can get.
He actually upgrades a Bounty Hunter here on Wave 13, so I guess he's aiming towards having 2 Kingpins on 14, where he's otherwise looking pretty shaky.
And looks like another creditor opportunity for everyone. Oh, Drakir actually...
These builds are looking really similar, actually. We've got Boar Disciple for Drakir. We've got Sakura Disciple for Lucy. Okay, let's ignore the Chaos player for now. Then we have another Sakura Disciple build here for Widdowson. So it's a little bit... You know, they're going to have the same weak waves, they're going to have the same strong waves. This is going to make for a really interesting game, and it might just come down to Kingdans' Chaos rolls.
Something to note is that Drakir didn't actually go for a creditor there. Was a little worried since obviously he has two
Okay.
boars, or three boars now. So a little more value generated for King and Witter. That's something to note. And they're gonna go just income here, it looks like.
It
I
does.
mean, obviously you can't leak Drakir.
It
Oh,
does. It does
oh,
feel
okay, sure.
like the Updogs are playing a bit scared in this series, right? We saw in the previous game they kind of jumped the gun a bit too soon, sent Income King on 13, gave a free ride to King and Widder, and this game as well, with Drakir not shifting his creditor gold there on wave 13, it's just the fear seems to be kicking in, right? And as a result, they're falling behind.
Yeah, and it's not the Jules still favoring them for sure. And it's gonna come down to how much Lucy leaks here, because she's definitely very weak here, and she's actually getting a real send from King Dance.
Yeah. But Drakir's going
So,
to be very happy with this income
oh,
send here. There was a last-minute Hermit there from Widdowson, but
yeah.
with Drakir's value, he's going to be very fine. So let's have a quick look at Lucy's lane. How is she doing? The villain Sakura does make quick work of one of the ogres, but it dies very soon after. The Disciple
like she's
build,
killing a lot.
there's no Starcaller upgraded here, so none of them enjoying the mana boost. But yeah, a pretty decent hold there from Lucy. I say pretty decent, 91%.
To
But a
be
lot of
fair,
that
the
is,
Cannoneer is gonna mess that up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And Drakir, he's going to be able to fully cover that with his Starcaller Disciple Circle
And
all alive in the mid. And they
I
held their Mythium off that.
yeah, I suspect it's just 16, and pray that King doesn't roll Pyro or Flower.
I mean, he is Chaos, so it's almost guaranteed to roll both Pyro and Flower for Wave 16.
Yeah, I see Drakir pushed quite a bit, so he's not playing like 300 over or anything here, so it's probably just 16.
Alright, we have
And then
both
after that
antlers
is tricky though.
played. They must be feeling the pressure now for King Dans and Widdowson, but Widdowson, he's over 4k value when he finishes building.
Yeah, it's definitely the Sakura generation is quite strong at this point. I mean, it's basically like a free investment, if you will. Like
Yeah.
it's like sort of a value for sure.
And King Dans, what do we see in his Chaos roll here for Wave 16?
Absolute beast.
What a
Pyro,
machine.
Yuzora.
What a machine.
I mean,
Now,
it's a huge player gap.
it's a massive send, though. This is 1k plus from both Drakir and Lucy on Wave 16, even with their overwhelming value, even with the Pyro roll here from King Dans, very skillful, by the way. This is a big
Might
send
not
to
even
deal
go
with.
for it. I would imagine he still wants it because he has this MPS to take advantage with it.
Yeah, at
But to
least.
be honest, he still has a split. Oh well, he's fixing that.
He
But
could even
he's
sell the split, honestly, and just put it all into Pyros. Like, you're kind of all in against holding this 1k send, right?
yeah, I think that's quite important. We'll see how many King spells they can get. They have like decent amount of workers, and King has the rest of the spells. So that's the important thing is to live here.
Yeah. He
And
only
then
has
after
two
that,
Pyros, though. Both players decently
no
undervalued.
mole, no hermit. So
No mole
just
hermit,
assuming that King is not gonna hit it, and the full range is still good against the Pyros, right? It's
That is
the
a
fastest
lot
speed.
of frogs, though. That's a lot of frogs off me.
The wave is getting completely destroyed between the Hades and the Pyro, though. It is going to be a lot of frogs to the King, though, like you mentioned.
Widdowson is leaking pretty hard, though. 133% there. King Dan's doing extremely well. Killed the entire wave, even killed a few frogs. Still a 140% leak just because of the value in those frogs. But they're going to live here, right? With 95%, with full King spell upgrade. This
You would
spell
imagine
just
so.
deletes the froggos.
Yeah.
Still taking a ton of damage, though.
Yeah, but now the game gets interesting, right? What kind of lines are the players seeing? Like, look at the gold on Drac and Lucy. They are so
Yeah.
overbuilt if they want to be,
They got
but they
so
have to
much
find the
gold.
right wave to end on.
I mean, let's have a look at the builds, right? Because you can't really talk about the Chaos player because you just never know what they're going to have. He does have one Halo with an MPS aura there, so could be pretty strong on, say, wave 20, which might be what Drakir and Lucy are angling towards. Kind of the fact that Drakir and Lucy aren't full pushing when they have 1 billion gold each and they're both way over value, it kind of suggests to me that maybe they want to go straight wave 20.
Yeah, 20 looks promising. I'm just like thinking about how much value Drakira will be on and whether we talk about value. I'm talking about Drakir's value, but actually King is gonna be also like close to his value.
Yeah.
And with, I mean, Drakir's late game role is insane too. Like,
But even
I
without
wonder.
pushing though, Drakir and Lucy have a pretty big worker lead. And yeah,
Yeah,
like just look
their
at the
sends are
values
gonna
now.
be huge.
Drakir's
Yeah.
the only Drakir and Lucy both overvalue actually when they finish building, and Widdowson and Kingdown's both under. Actually,
Oh, they're
no,
actually. I think
Widdowson's
they're.
ahead.
Yeah, they're both like close to. Their Witter's like 500 over. King's like 200 over if he
Yeah.
wants to full build. And looks like
Um,
King is already building for for 20. By the way.
that's a good call. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he suspected just looking at his and Witter's values that Witter's build really, yeah, I would say 20 is probably the first weakness, right? You have like White Mane Havens for 19.
Offmer, it's wave 18, and all 4 players are overvalued.
Yeah, this is some premier pristine Legion gameplay, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I mean, we suspected something like this, seeing the income values on 11 and seeing Creditor, and then the fact that Witter chooses the income King even on 14, like there is a lot of gold in this game.
Yeah, and all 4 players holding their nerve. There is no Mythium spent on wave 19. It might just come down to who has the better
See
wave
what the
20
wave
build.
they build for, because King just rolled OT. He's gonna have a super OT Badger if he wants it.
Holy moly. And that does look like that's what he's going for. He places the Grawl here. It is offset, so yeah, he will be able to get that Badger if that's what he wants. All he needs to do is sell this Buckler, and the Badger takes the buffs.
Yeah, could be pretty nice for him. And he has that MPS Halo, has a Daphne like we mentioned. I don't think Witter can hold 20 though. He is going for some cats, but his it's just a little less inspiring in terms of
Yeah.
tank value. But I mean, he does have Star Callers. Let's not count him out. He has good damage.
And Phoenix is pretty bad on 20 as well, right? Like, the only time I've seen a
Oh, here
Phoenix
we
be
go.
good is when it somehow tanks the range sends, but not the boss.
Yeah, the Ghost Knight salesman himself, getting rid of all of his wares.
Okay, that's a lot of Ghost Knights coming out from Drakira and Lucy. If we have a look at King and Widder, I mean, the Daphne and the Ark of Justice are going to kill a Ghost Knight pretty damn quickly, though.
He
And
rolled Phaedos like a beast.
what an absolute chaos god this man is. Holy moly, why is Chaos still in tournament mode? Getting the Fatalizers
Wait,
here for wave
why
20.
wasn't he putting it on the... He had it on the Butcher, and now he's had it off the Butcher? What's he doing with this spot?
I mean, the White Mane Aura is probably more value, I think.
There's a White Man Aura.
Yeah.
I totally missed that, yeah.
The
That
White
is
Mane's
definitely
pretty
better.
good.
I mean, I have no idea what's gonna happen. These sends are just huge, and everyone is... Okay, like, everyone is yellow value, which on 20 usually means you could hold.
Yeah. The sends are quite a lot bigger for King and Widderson. There's 1,400 for King, 1,200 for Widderson, and there's a lot less going into the lanes of Drakir and Lucy. I think Drakir should just hold. He does kill the Shaman there with the splash from the Aquas.
I mean, the villain's
That's-
coming into effect now.
Yeah, villain.
It's not gonna be enough, it looks like, but...
Lucy will leak, but Drakir is holding there.
Has all his damage still up, and
King
King
Dan's,
is leaking,
despite
Witter is leaking,
rolling
and
the
they're dead.
Fatalizer, he leaks. Widderson leaks as well, and this looks like game number 3 going the way of the Updogs for fun, ladies and gentlemen. Well played, Drakir and Lucy.
Wow, that's a different type of game. That was
Yeah.
a really long late game that I think King and Witter even wanted from the start, right? Picking Castle and Chaos, and yet Drakir and Lucy were still able to build up an early game advantage and convert it. Even
Well,
in the late
according
game.
to Jules, they were ahead for the entire game. There was never a point where they had less than a 51% chance to win the game, other than wave 1. So yeah, pretty nicely played by these guys. And I mean, they took very minor king damage on wave 7, and I think that was the only time anything ever reached the king of Drakir and Lucy. And because of their regen, they already had 100% HP again going into the late game. And man, with Drakir's build, with Drakir's value, he was able to hold the... I mean, to be fair, he did also get a small ascend. But yeah, Drakir easily putting Lucy on his shoulders there. Game number 3 in the bag. And man, what an exciting game off. I think that's the first wave 20 that we've seen in the whole tournament, actually, this month.
Yeah, actually, I saw in the match history the first series between Drakir and Lucy and No Balls, No Style. It went to 21, actually.
Right.
with I think no style or no balls, one of them holding 20 and
Okay.
then winning on 21. Like, I could not believe it when I looked at the match history, to be honest, because those
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
love their early finishes. But
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're very
I
all in, aren't they? The no style, no balls duo. They tend to starve insanely much in the early game, and then the fact that they can make it to wave 21 is pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I think that this game is definitely a rarity, or this type of game.
Yeah.
Um,
But really
we're seeing
fun to watch, actually. Really fun to see how the builds develop from all four players, and pretty nail biting, actually. Kingdans and Widdowson, they put up a really good fight, actually, because I think they were behind from quite early on, and to make it, let's be honest, pretty close, although the way that Drakir just hold this wave 20 might kind of make that seem like it wasn't. But honestly, this was a really close game. Like, one false move from Drakir and Lucy, if they just felt pressured like they did in game 2, went for an income send or something like that on wave 18, 19, something, they almost certainly lose the game, right? So
yeah, for
it's a
sure.
really interesting way to see this game progress all the way to wave 20, and a very well-deserved victory there for the Updogs.
Yeah, and it seemed like the game was really out of hand with Drakir's 14 workers, but Witter did find a way to net the shutdown on 9 and 10, which was very, very big in terms of giving them like 100 gold back into the game, and then setting up his castle and Sakura scaling. That made the game like pretty, yeah, like you said, pretty competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if we can. I wonder if they'll go for the same sort of mastermind options if we see favorable Legion spells for it, or they're a little scared off of giving Drakir too much room to play.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Kingdans and Widdowson have opted for the same send order as the previous, with Drakir going into Kingdans and Lucy going into Widdowson. So it seems both sides are comfortable with the status quo. They don't feel like there's much advantage to be had by swapping the send order. And man, I mean, come on, it's game number 4 now. We do remember we do want the best of 5. So this is Abraseat's turn to win, yeah? Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
they must have checked the script, right?
Yeah, 100%, dude, 100%. All right, guys, enough chatter. Game number 4, here it is.
All right. See, greed from Drakir. What does Lucy have left? Cartel. Okay, that's right. She did Castle the first game, and
Right.
they both have Pixie, but it's not the right mastermind. Everyone has Sakura if they want it.
Well, and agreed there from Kingdan. So just going for very, very, very stable, very kind of early game solid play styles there on both teams, and interesting to see who does it better.
Yeah, I think I would expect Lucy to play Casket Seedling into reverse Sakura. Pixie on 4, Sakura on 5.
Yep.
I know she really likes that opener, and it's quite strong, especially if you don't know what's coming. And here, maybe his best option is to play around this Shadow Dancer, but it's not too inspiring of a role otherwise. Mostly early game focused units. Like 8-guard Rats is really nice. Maybe he'll just play to get some enabling going.
Yeah. All right. I mean, the roles are looking pretty solid on both teams. I really like Widdowson's role, actually.
Yeah.
He's kind of spoilt for choice. He's got Flying Archer, but I think because of his backline units, you probably just take APS, because the APS works on the Archer and his melee units. And yeah, he does go for that APS there.
Oh,
He's going
just
for a
goes
Sakura again. And so is Lucy again.
Wow.
Well, we saw this work out for Lucy in the previous game. Let's see if Widdowson can reverse his fortunes here.
Nice. I like that. I mean, we meet again, says Lucy.
Very nice double Sakura opener. Let's see if this works out again for Lucy, or can Widdowson shake those hips well enough?
Yeah, I mean, the difference this time being he's Cartel as well, so they're literally the same entity. Like, if you look at everything about them, it's exactly the same so far. Obviously, it changes once they have to build other units, but... And Rissy King going for that king up again, yeah.
Yeah, so
Sticking to his game plan.
This definitely seems like King's preferred strategy into a Sakura. He's not trying to leak it with DTs or anything like that on 3 and 4. He's just saying, okay, you've got your slow opener. It's going to be safe. I'm just going to take my income then.
Yep.
Alright, Widdowson going for his income send. I probably expect to see the same from Drakir and Lucy as well.
Yeah, I would imagine everyone is just going to take their income and run.
Looks like, yes. And Drakir, he's been able to hunt 2 rats on both Wave 1, Wave 2, and Wave 3 now as well. He's going to get away with it as well, because Widdowson can send 2 snails, though with 225 value, I think Drakir's going to be okay. He might leak small.
Yeah, I think with good aggro, he should be fine. If his Skate gets that second summon, then it's all over, obviously.
Mm.
But Lucy elected to save, actually. And Witter went for this
full scent here. That's an interesting one, because I think he's got very little chance of leaking the casket consort from Kingdance here.
You have to catch them greeting very hard, but the consort did just face tank.
It did, but the casket
the
is
lizard
living.
Get through, maybe?
Oh, how is this spell going to line up? It does get the spell off, but it was just too slow. That's a 47% leak there from on-value Kingdance. Well, I say on-value. He's actually a little bit under. Widdowson is able to clean this up. This is some more stacks for his angler. He's kind of happy with that, honestly.
Yeah, something to note is that Witter actually greeted, like, I'm pretty sure if you build just angler and you get 60, you leak. Your Sakura dies because you don't have the split.
Yep.
But knowing that it's Sakura sending him, he's able to take a little more liberty with how he builds.
Alright, and Kingdance, he is adding a buckler here, so maybe feeling he doesn't want to be too risky on wave 4, that I think he could have risked it, right? He's looking really good here with that consort.
Yeah, to be fair, it's always tough to judge exactly how much rats can send you.
Yeah.
And perhaps just wanted to play it a little safer, because definitely the type of unit that you leak the whole wave or you hold, right?
Yeah.
So
now both Sakura players receive a double DT send here on 4, and Lucy, it looks like, is holding easily. Widdowson, he's holding as well. Okay, so matching sends, matching holds for the Sakura players, matching value, matching income. They're neck and neck. Yeah.
And Drakir actually got as well.
Oh, this never kills Lucy Sakura though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, she's fine.
Fortunately, these two Sakuras this time will be able to stay safe. And Drakir is just spamming income pretty much.
He is. He's kind of feeding Kingdance, and as a result, 7 workers on Dans. He's got nice income, but Drakir is leading the pack there. Like, if we just look at the Mythium generated, Drakir has like nearly 20 or more than 20 more Mythium than anybody else in the game, really showing that even after the nerfs, double pack rat opener can just generate insane amounts of myth in the early game.
Yeah, for sure, and he's going to be very happy getting this resend because he's minus 20, right? So the perfect reads from Drakir so far, and like you mentioned, that Mythium advantage from the rats is going to be huge once he converts it all into income.
Yep. Now we have Lucy and Kingdance both holding their Mythium. They have 80 now. Drakir with 60 as well, though. Like, he's doing pretty fine. There is another income resend from King into Lucy here on wave 6, though I think she's going to be just fine there with this value. And if anything, she's going to be really happy that King doesn't have that much extra Mythium to send her on wave 7.
Yeah, something to note is that Lucy is actually just 1 worker ahead of Witter, opting to just overpush a bit.
Yep.
Compared to Witter, who's more concerned about protecting his Sakura and scaling up that way.
Yeah, he has the canopy here, so he's kind of making sure he's strong on both wave 6 and wave 7, which is pretty solid. And the 100 send here into Lucy. I mean, Kingdance, he even sent the king up, right? So he's not trying to leak Lucy. He's just trying to snowball himself into the late game.
Yeah, and Lucy is definitely the type of person who prefers to play Sakura and just abusing that the early game power spike after you get your first send, where you can just push 1 trillion workers. And you can see she really does not care too much about holding. She's undervalued on Sakura's weakest wave. She can't even get this casket upgrade until she sells her split. She's gonna do, but I mean, she has the right read. There's no Sen coming.
She would. I mean, it's more like she doesn't care, right? Because Drakeer's looking really strong here, so she's kind
I
of thinking it's
wonder
fine if I lose a Sakura stack. I want the workers.
how does this mold do against a full Iron Maiden, especially
I
with some healing behind it? Like I feel like it's a little
I think it's
optimistic.
kind of rough to try and leak Kingdoms here. And yeah, King and Widdowson, they both hold their Mythium. They weren't feeling scared here. We'll have to find out now
Great
if
aggro. Look
their
at that.
confidence was rewarded or not. The
Snipe
Sakura for Widdowson
both
is
brutes, it
going
looks like.
down, yeah, but barely. Not before
And
cleaning
he's
up
gonna
most of the
hold,
wave.
yeah.
That's a hold on Widdowson. And Kingdans, I mean, he's
Yeah, he's
leaking, but
leaking the ball,
very
but-
small. Very small.
Yeah, and I think Witter just had. I mean, he's +5 for one thing, but his aggro was really, really good. Like perfect
Yeah.
split tanking. He did snipe both brutes, to be fair. Like
He did.
that's something, but still a really nice hold by him. And Lucy is still 12 workers though, so it's not like there was no advantage generated.
And Kingdans and Widdowson just opting for an income send here on wave 8. We'll have to see how Lucy and Drakeer deal with this. There is a Mudman coming out from Lucy, and of course the final stack on the Maiden. Even placing a Seedling here to make sure that Sakura stays alive against the wave. I think that's pretty solid. And Drakeer actually getting his Shadow Dancer out here on wave number 8.
And without hunting, he's gonna be perfectly fine, I imagine. On value, his Daphne might die, but should be enough other units where it doesn't matter too much.
Now, worth pointing out that Drakeer has used his reroll already, so he won't be able to dig for something to pair with that Shadow Dancer, like, you know, your APS, your Ocean Templar, Dark Mage, anything like that. He can't roll into proper synergy for it, and the unit by itself, without buffs, is nowhere near as scary as it is when it is paired with something like that.
Yeah. And they do both manage to hold on, it looks like, or how's
Small
going on here in
leak
Drakeer's
maybe
lane?
from Drakeer.
Looks like the Dancer died just before some other units, so... Or,
The Gate
what's going
Guard
on here?
seems to be smurfing the wave, actually.
Can it finish off one more?
I think it definitely kills one more. I don't know about the second. The doggo
I
is
mean, he's
coming
getting
out.
another dog. I mean, this is a battle to the death.
Yeah,
One-on-one, single combat. But looks like the snake is just a little too
the
much.
snake is going to win the fight, but this is a really long wave here. While
Lucy's on 15 workers.
Lucy's on 15 workers. They've got some decent Mythium here. Did they send here? Yeah, only a couple of DTs, though.
They could go for a cheeky resend.
Oh,
but
okay,
I
there's
think
an
they're
income
electing to go 10.
resend from King and Widdowson, but Drakeer and Lucy, this might be the first real advantage now, because I assume they both hold the income sends, and meanwhile they're going to have a lot of pressure against Kingdans and Widdowson.
I worry about Drakeer if he hunts. Just because his Dancer is a little exposed, but it's not going to be a full send, I think, from Witter, so he should be okay.
Yeah, kind of interesting that his Shadow Dancer is in column 2 like that, because it does make it way more likely to die, right?
Yeah, especially with no buffs of any sort. Like, if he had healing on it or something like that, like Butcher OT, then it kind of makes a little more sense to get it more involved as a tank. But maybe that's how he envisions it already as a tank, since he doesn't really have too much support for it to begin with.
Yeah, reasonable. Yeah,
And it is
he
his
holding the
highest
income
end
resend, isn't it?
fortified unit.
Lucy is also holding her income king send. They do go for that
And,
wave
wow.
10 send. Okay, that's interesting.
The GK merchant is open for business again.
Oh, Lucy, she's
almost
close,
had a
but
ram.
she doesn't get a ram. Yeah, I think a siege ram would have been incredible against Widdowson here, who almost
Witter has a
certainly.
hard-
Yeah, he's got a
Can't
tough
get
choice
both,
to
right?
make. You can't get both. He
Probably
goes
the
for
Kingpin,
the
right?
Kingpin, okay.
Just because the difference between a Kingpin and a Bounty is so big.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's got the APS already. I think this is probably correct, and
It's a
he
good
can build
choice.
like a.
And
think
the gold, the
just
gold
sell
is
this and
perfect
double
as well.
buckler, right? That's probably a bit stronger for this specific wave.
Yeah, I mean the
But-
Shroom is on the APS as well. It's
It does get some value
fine.
there for sure. I would imagine they leak still though, because
He's a
this
big
is
send.
360.
And the Ghost
And
Knight
what-
is
what is this
so
aggro?
good against Kingdans, by the way.
Yeah, just no answer at all.
Really
I mean,
difficult. He does
King-
kill it, but not before like his entire front line is dead, pretty much.
And Winter had some very strange aggro where everything ended up going left because the seedling died too fast, and
Right.
he focused the ogre first, which is not bad
Ooh.
since he got the gold, but
Lucy
okay.
does give a shutdown here, 25 gold, so that's something. But these guys are
But
taking
look at the
big
Hermit healing
king
the
damage
bosses
here.
up. The two
Wow.
bosses are just snacking away.
Yeah. The first one
And
just now goes down, but not
think
before
it's
bringing Abrasiat's king
Savior
down
time?
to 43% HP. Okay.
I mean,
There
the
is
thing is,
Savior.
Savior is nice, but you lose out on Protector, which could all. I mean, not that good for King, but could have been decent for Witter. We'll see what they go for. Maybe they don't even feel like they need it. The thing is,
Widdowson
Savior
still has
does.
his reroll available, by the way, the only player who
Oh,
does.
okay.
Maybe he just rerolls and tries to see if he can find a Protector unit.
Yeah, Phoenix would maybe be pretty good in this role with APS Archer. And everyone goes
Okay.
Protector. Well, King hasn't chosen yet.
Maybe King is going for the Savior. The fact that he's waiting so long does
Mhm.
suggest he wants to go for that last second Savior to me.
Yeah, and I think it's fine. He doesn't have a great Protector user.
Yeah, there it is. There's the Savior from
And
King.
getting your King, I think they should have done even a regen or two, just because we saw how much it mattered for Drac and Lucy earlier.
You're
So
number one, yeah.
yeah, I think it can be definitely very important right now with Tenacity to get your King out of one-shottable range.
Absolutely, yes.
And I wonder what all these players are looking at. I mean, 13 looks the most logical. I think King Witter is rerolling right now. See if he can dig for something.
What does he find?
Phoenix, Hades, anything like that.
Doomsday.
Okay, Doomsday
Very
base.
good
Yep,
answer.
sure.
Very good answer for Widdowson there. He has the APS pairing as well. That's almost the perfect unit. Like, Phoenix would have been up there as well, but he already has magic damage with the Sakura, so I really like the Doomsday pickup here for Widdowson.
Yeah, it does leave him a little more vulnerable on 15, but I'm not sure if we're gonna see 15 looking at what's happening here. Like, it's hard to say. I feel like they can definitely skip next. Drac and Lucy can, I mean.
I mean,
They
with
should.
with Kingdan's already having a Doomsday and Widdowson showing his here, like maybe if he
Yeah.
went for a full skip, they would have sent 13 anyway. But with both players having Doomsday potential, I don't think Drakir and Lucy are going to send here. And if they do, I think it'll be income. But they proved me
Oh,
wrong immediately. That Ghost Knight
think
Merchant back in action.
I think the thing is the double GK, they're getting to the double GK threshold, and against double GK, you basically completely nullify the unit. But it does have APS, which is different from just the raw Doomsday.
Yeah.
So King is being on value here. Is see how he does. He again, like we said, he can't kill GK particularly fast, but
Neither can Widdowson. Like, his only good damage against the GK is
well,
one
him having
Kingdom.
Doomsday would probably help.
Yeah. Okay. I think
I think
Widdowson.
he's doomed.
I think he's doomed. Yeah, this is
I
looking
mean, to be
pretty
fair,
spicy.
he's less weak against double GK because he doesn't have a Doomsday invested, but
Yeah, that's
still
true.
doesn't mean
but
he
I
has
mean,
anything great versus the wave then, and his Sakura dies here.
he built a canopy
And-
instead of a Doomsday, which is also not good against GKs.
I mean, King managed to kill half the wave, and his
Doing
Doomsday is still
really
full
well. He's going to
HP.
kill at least one more. Widdowson
In
does
this-
leak 73%. They have got good King attack upgrades.
That's not bad, and I think the problem is if they match 15 here, like if they go 15 with Drakir and Lucy, they might lose the race there, because King is exceptional there, but the Doomsday
they are.
still isn't that good.
They are surviving, but only with a sliver of HP remaining.
Yeah, and we are gonna see a 15 match from both teams. Probably we're gonna see this situation where King and Witter are lower value, but they're sending way more. And it's tough to say who wins that kind of race. But the thing is, one team is at 100 HP. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to die.
It is, but Kingdans and Widdowson have a lot of Mythium stored up here.
Yeah, and 15 is a wave where you could theoretically one-shot someone, but Lucy's like, what? Is she just gonna be on value with Hades and
Seems so,
Sakura
yeah,
and
with the Hades as well.
Tree of Life Canopies?
Yeah, this is looking.
It's not
pretty
OT,
rough.
but
This is looking pretty rough for the
Protector as
Abrasier
well.
boys.
I mean, they cannot skip. Like I'm looking at their values and they'll be barely at the recommended. So here
They
it
do
comes,
not skip, but
Kraken.
Drakir and Lucy,
Okay,
they
Income
know
King.
they're in the lead. They're not even going to try and race it here. They're just going for Income and King, guaranteeing pretty much that they can't
Yeah,
die here on wave 15.
I think they know that there's no 18 answer for either King or Witter,
Yep.
and they're content with living and winning on 18. And okay, I lied. I thought Lucy would be on value, but looks like Mythium is a bit too strong. We're 400 under with Protector, to be fair, and some exceptional units, to be honest. Like even this Lioness 5 stacks, like that's pretty huge. And Drac obviously has nothing really.
Yeah. They are going to have a
Yeah.
fully upgraded King attack. They might even be able to squeeze in a spell or two.
And it's gonna be Ram and a
Sends a
bunch of
massive-
snails. Oh, double Kraken. Well, that's the threshold
that's a
where
pretty
Hades
good
starts to have
Hades
some
answer.
trouble.
But with all of
thing
the
is, this
impact damage
Canopies-
behind it, yeah, the Krakens are actually going down fairly quickly
Wait a
in Lucy's
second.
lane.
How long can these Canopies live without a Needler hitting them?
Apparently, infinitely. Okay, they do now just go down, but
But
Lucy's
look how
holding.
2 dragons and a Sakura.
And sure, Drakir's leaking there, 102%, 25 gold shutdown,
Well.
but Lucy's fully holding. With
There it is.
decent value left alive in the mid.
Yeah, and it looks like the second Kraken, we thought it would be enough to stall, but
Yeah.
these Tree of Life Canopies, there's no answer for them, and I mean, this is completely won the game, I feel like.
I mean,
That
yeah,
one's-
right? This was a very
was the only
all-in play
chance.
from King Downs and Widdowson, and they're getting some damage, but it's nowhere
Oh,
near what they
it's
needed
the double
here.
Sui. It's the double Sui.
Oh, double Sui.
It's the only chance. They're gonna double Sui for 16 or for 17. Sorry.
They're actually building.
Okay, not a full Sui.
They're pushing hard, but not full Sui, yeah.
If only. Well, Drakir hasn't pushed a worker, so he's chilling.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, they can also just send. Well, I
Drakir's
mean, they don't
plus
want to send
200
17 at
here,
all.
right? Yeah.
Okay, what's Witter going for here? He's shifting 400 to Pro League, like to beta set. What's the idea? I mean, like you don't want them to send here necessarily, but Pro Leaguing when you're this pushed maybe is good enough.
I don't know. It's an interesting one because I feel like if Widdowson Pro Leaks here, then Drakir and Lucy definitely send on 17, where they might skip otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at Witter's lane and I'm looking at King's lane, I feel like I'm seeing something
Yeah,
strange.
you can tell that they've full pushed, right? Either that or they're going for a really good bait.
Yeah,
But no,
and here it
Drakir and
comes.
Lucy, they make the correct read. They're going for a race here on wave 17, and with their value advantage, I think this race is only going one way off me.
Yeah, and the thing is, they barely need to leak them at all. And look how far under, like King and Witter. Okay, Witter has like a god roll for this wave, and same with King. Is all his units are very strong,
But they're so
the
undervalued.
value, right?
Yeah. So undervalued. Minus 800 on King. About the same on Widdowson when he finished his building as well. Man.
Lucy going for some 5-stack lionesses.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Drakir and Lucy are both nearly on value, right? With 5k
Yeah.
plus on each of them. This is looking really rough for Abracete.
Yeah, they're on value with strong units and protector. To be fair, they're getting some big sends, but
Yeah.
the double
880,
GK threshold is basically
840. I think with the
what they
value
wanna
they
hit.
have, this is really bad for Abracete. Yeah. Widdowson is going down very quickly there. King Dance, he's going down.
and it's another full hold from Lucy, or what's going on here?
Uh, it's close. The Hades is still alive.
It's a
there.
full hold for Drakir, it looks like.
Yeah, Widdowson and King Dance, they both leak. The leaks are
Yeah.
small, but it's going to be enough. The
Wow.
Updogs, Offmer. No
Yeah.
longer the underdogs, it seems. The Updogs are unstoppable. What a series.
What's up, dogs?
What is Updogs?
Victory.
GG, man. That is
Wow.
a very,
I'm very impressed.
very convincing 3-1 victory there from the Updogs against Team Abracete. Man, Drakir and Lucy, these guys just seem insanely strong lately. Really well
Yeah, I
played.
mean, the thing is, they even dropped the series yesterday, but I mean, looks like that's all they needed. They got the losses out of the way, and today
Yeah.
they're just 2-0 in the semis, 3-1 in the finals. That's extremely, extremely impressive.
Yeah. And I really like that King Dance and Widdowson went for a play there on wave 13. You
Hmm.
know, they tried to overbuild and hold the send and then have the pressure they needed for 15. But I mean, with these big sends coming out from Drakir and Lucy, they needed more value than they had. Even though King leaked only really small, they went from
Hmm.
60% down to 15, and then the game just becomes really difficult for them.
Yeah, that's a very sharp call from Drakir and Lucy there for sure.
Yep.
Because it's a little mind game, right? King and Witter are weak on 15, so you try to undercut by going 14, and then so they can get undercut on 13, like we just saw.
Yeah.
So it's always tough making those choices. And Witter even tried to go for like a double layer read, right? He says, okay, King has 13. He's building. He's very strong there. I'm gonna cover his 14 because he has chieftains now. He goes for the Canopy, and it just doesn't pay off, right? Because he gets the Sun on 13.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there were really big sends there on wave 15 against Drakir and Lucy, but with her regen canopies and that Hades dishing out the damage, Lucy was able to pretty comfortably hold there and even cover some of Drakir's leaks in the mid as well, and that just sealed the deal completely for these guys there, then able to have a very easy victory on wave 17. Although it has to be said, King Dans and Widdowson did very well there against the Sens. The leaks were very small, but with that sliver of King HP, that was all they needed to be. And that is your April Nova Cup champions, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Updogs.
Indeed.
All right, off my.
What's up, dog?
Oh, he got it. Hey, Drakir, hey, Lucy, congratulations, guys. The underdogs no more. I mean, just absolutely incredible play. Really nice series there. 3-1 victory against Team Abraseat. No easy opponents by any means, but you guys made it look easy. Well played.
Thank you.
Try cat to carry a little bit.
Yeah. You've been practicing those deadlifts, Drakir?
Oh, sure am, yeah.
Yeah. Really, just really nice. That first game was honestly really the classic Lucy Castle game where somehow the game ends before Castle matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that game was just like I had a really clean open.
Oh yeah, I love your
committed,
role.
yeah, they just committed to a long save, which I just hold, and then the game was just kind of over.
Yeah, the undercut on 6 was really nice.
Yeah.
It was a really nice play to skip 5 on what looks to be a really bad roll. You have Nightmare Devilfish, but he hardens on 5, and then you get a huge opening on 6.
Yeah, really, really nice. I was interested in one of your games, Drakir. I think it was the one where Lucy was playing Fiesta. It was a Divine Blessing game. You had the Priestess in your opening role, and you didn't take it. That was kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I think I just kind of like forgot.
Okay.
Happens.
I was expecting some like mega mind explanation
No.
of why you wanted the early game power over the late game power, but no, he just forgot. He forgot.
Yeah, like
Become
like
viral,
I know I was thinking about like the Poda opener, but to be honest, I didn't really think about Divine while
Yeah.
choosing the role.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the Poda opener, so I didn't choose it.
That's fair enough. I mean, that game was just. I mean, King just ran away with it a bit.
Yeah, he
Also,
sure
my
did.
angler just didn't want to live.
Oh yeah, I saw that on 3.
On 2 as well.
Oh,
no, not on 2. No, I didn't have it on 2. Yeah, 3 and 4 just like ran down.
Nice,
Cost
very
me
nice.
a bunch of stacks.
But that was your only loss of the series, right? A 3-1 win against King Dans and Widdowson. You've got to be feeling pretty good about yourselves right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it the first time you've beaten them?
yeah, that's the first time we beat them.
Yeah,
Nice.
nice. I mean, last time you gotta dodge them for the first win, but
Yeah.
now you got the true victory, right? Taking out the
Yeah,
champs.
Very
Was there any
nice.
game in particular from the semis or yesterday or even the finals that you guys really liked from you? You thought you guys played really well?
I mean, not particularly like the. I mean, we kind of just like ended the first series against Boltzner style.
I
fair
forgot
enough.
they could save me fume and cringe.
Did you
Yeah,
go
really.
through the lower bracket in day one?
Yes, we did.
Oh wow, okay. Well, so did Kingdans and Widdowson. To be fair, I don't know if you saw the
Yeah,
game,
they-
but they lost the
Yeah.
first game against Itzo and Nictia, which was a really fun one to watch actually.
Yeah, we were watching
Yeah.
some of those.
Obviously, completely unbiased fraternal caster here, showing no preference whatsoever, despite having his brother in the
course.
game. Just completely professional the whole way through. Yeah.
Very professional.
Very professional. But yeah, I didn't realize you guys went through the lower bracket journey as well. That's kind of cool to hear that both the first and second seed lost their first game, had to fight through the lower bracket, still managed to meet each other in the finals, and then we see the Updogs coming out on top. So yeah, pretty cool story to this April Nova Cup.
Got the plot.
Yeah, is this the second or the third Nova Cup with the new format?
Second.
The third, I
Sec-
think the third.
Third? The third?
I
Yeah,
think they
I
had
was just
February,
curious.
March,
Like,
and April. Yeah.
you guys are big fans of it, right?
Yeah, like we're very big day one inters, so
Yeah,
being
yeah.
able to lose one best of three helps us a lot.
Yeah, get into form.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Nice.
It
Yeah,
turns
it's
out
pretty
both of
nice.
you needed it, right? Like yourselves and
Yeah,
Abrasia both losing your first games. If it was the old format, you would both
Yeah.
have been out. But with the new format, you were able to meet up in the finals.
yeah, I really like that.
Hmm. It makes it interesting, and I think with the kind of narrower field for D1 with only 8 teams, it means that all of the games on day one are really high quality. Like anybody can beat anybody, and it makes for a lot of excitement, I think.
Yeah, it's really competitive. I love it, and also makes Div 2 like more exciting since there are like more teams.
Yeah.
There are, like
Mhm.
higher elo teams in Div 2.
Yeah. I guess a shout out to Green Spirit there, credit where due. Maybe the man who inspired the idea in the first place. So, yeah, Green, if you're listening, well played, sir. Very nice idea, very nice format. I think everybody so far has enjoyed it very much. Lucy, I wanted to ask you actually, because 2 games there in that series, you open Sakura, 2 games you're sending into Sakura with Sakura. Obviously, your hips came out on top.
Yeah.
But what I actually wanted to ask was, why do you think that Kingdans is always sending you that king up on wave 2? Because you've got to love that as a Sakura player, right? It means you're not under any pressure on wave 3. You're not really under any pressure on wave 4. And that just solidifies your early game, right? Because you're just not scared then before wave 7. And it gives you a really nice worker push. We did see you were 1 worker ahead of Widdowson in both games, I think, in the early game. And yeah, like, how do you feel about that king up on 2?
I don't think it makes any difference. Just like if it doesn't send on 3, like I'm holding 4 anyway. If I'm like don't push workers, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So, like,
Well,
I can push more from the king up than I would if he doesn't king up me.
fair enough. Yeah. So King is sending that king up on 2 in lieu of sending his income on wave 3. I can. That's fair enough. Yeah, that's a good response. All right. Cool. Offma, any more questions from you, good sir?
No, not really. I feel like the gameplay spoke for itself there.
Yeah. Really nice series. And we didn't quite get the full 5-game series that we really wanted. Both me and Offma, and I'm sure everyone in Twitch chat were calling for a 5 games played. But, I mean, still, the 4-game series was very exciting, very well played by both teams, and a massive congratulations to the Updogs. 2 tournaments in a row now, guys. Well played.
Thank you.
All right. Well, in that case, I think that's about all we have time for on the stream. So the usual shout outs to everybody involved, the tournament organisers behind the scenes for the massive amount of work they put in to make everything go smoothly. Auto Attack for creating the game that we all know and love. All of the players who, without the players, there is no tournament, right? And of course, the folks at home for watching the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to give the Updogs a chance for some last words if they would like them.
Yeah, I think
See you next month.
nerf 3.
Nerf tree, the tree of life.
Yeah, the tree on 15 was crazy.
Kinda overtuned.
Yeah, your lifesteal canopies were absolutely insane, and with that Hades there just dealing out all the damage you needed, you got some insane value from that build there. But
Even
yeah,
better with OT.
Even better with OT. Yeah, I mean, they're just going to be completely unkillable, right? Okay, cool. Well, on that bombshell, guys, I think that's about all we have time for on the April Cup. One massive congratulations to the Updogs, a very well-deserved victory. Guys in Twitch chat, make sure you're back here for the May Nova Cup. That's going to be a banger again, I'm sure. And as I did mention on yesterday's stream, but it's worth pointing out again, we are also planning an SEA time zone friendly tournament, which I think is going to be happening around mid-May. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Anybody in that half of the world who's been interested in playing Nova but unable to because the times are so unfavorable to you, well, make sure you get involved with the SEA time zone tournament. More info to come on that very shortly. And on that note, guys, we'll see you next month. Goodbye.